Kelly? Are you serious? Okay, I'm good with whatever.
Alright, you see you good? I bet. Advantage 1, executive power. Trump abolished federal collective bargaining rights, taking a militant understanding the unitary executive theory. 1 ahead, 25 Trump's mobilization, public sector direction, the for the sexual left, option to remove job protection. Trump explicitly relying on UET, the theory of the Article 2 consolidate powers abroad. Bargaining applied with our understanding the presidency, president, allowed to cancel CBH over Trump. Has not adhered to believe the service of Virginia's powers to Trump, being up and advocating UET without such powers, wrong, and UET offer course law. UET remains to be seen the majority of reserved Republicans. They may say over such ideas, limiting Article 2 authority spills over to handcuff the president in war fighting, bouncing, and precaution 23 Tealy law. King and argue Congress cannot grant protection from the state and defensive over constitution cannot accord with law. History of the practicalities, government no clause in Article 2 of the investing clause, defense, the state of the president's policy, the investing clause of the source of constitutional authority, remove officers, president's removal authority, military officers, executive power, not CSU clause, the executive removal of the defense, not muscular, other governments taking his right, the Congress will remove agency, employment, innocent policy, file, Congress will remove defense, president, department, all that should have no role, federal bargaining rights squarely contradict the UET, restoring them imposes a quote external break on executive authority. McDonald 25, the UET would not bargaining bargaining and rebalance power, not policy, president, rebalance is just with the insurance of one challenge that alleged the UET so the article to the theory implication for workers on the has been isolated by his prediction back better than the luxury plus the entire workers may enjoy power against Jules UET bargaining rights at only 6% the UET bargaining rights person relied on the abilities for strategies conscious to limit the president's direction each is an external break of control executive overreach is an existential threat and Greenland's forever war Davis 25 by Trump Bush DCSC more than any prior president tracks Syria that Congress CSU authority targeting killing Islam out of Congress for WU required military control from the majority of the resolution word news conflict abuse of authority executive theory expanded president's ability to wage war Trump rejects congressional overreach America the work fashion reverse the unitary executive created it causes conflict escalation with great powers in nuclear states Albert 22 the Afghanistan article is office 17 countries in a war making no Congress understanding better than public duty nothing about the reporting national law making taking back proliferation undemocratic dangers countries constitution by escalation for the foreseeable poorly conceived power regional American dollars land use regular war against the around nuclear regulation China for beyond terror nation conflict powerful nuclear states Trump is a threat but not the only one broke executive powers a systemic problem Dickinson 24 lead America works not limited to Trump's related to show more autocratic leaders including authority to security third normals unilateral some president any president or president rules like leaders to governments form except policy changes it over to make it more difficult president dislodge from superficial all viruses excess authority now in security Congress puts restraint on foreign policy absent overwhelming executive power Anderson 23 the Congress has powers to terminate force or legislative restriction and with the executive powers no central decision making advice negative war powers of the executive branch of power Congress corrective to overreaches of executive authority presidential selection makes the executive structurally more prone to initiate conflict over 22 presidential election ruthless don't president take advantage of possibility to ask for office over ambitious sectors health family low to pass over from officers of power to select for with those nurses member action the white house multiple power structure imperial politics of edicts and coups the court observes precedent Iacono 22 there those are the original facts most death for individual rights among these originals who argue no president relies to be able to be silly of course the chairman of various suggest obligation follow precedent court should be reluctant to overturn precedent or just be relies to choose that the strongest precedent concerns contract advantage 2 bureaucracy Trump excluded federal workers from collective bargaining which dooms governance McCartan at all 25 ability to enforce an agency policy of effective administration service and for bargaining workers a formal voice for witnessing a rollback that is a threat to the government of the EO change bargaining the impacts of many unions with different exceptions or never even used to refuse for or social works awards are some of the biggest things losing collective bargaining agencies change conditions not negotiate we have no authorities out of the world's procedures compromise reformers extinction weak administration guarantees that the cumulative effect of multiple risks outweighs feral 25 public crisis constitutional problems make each other worse problems getting bigger for getting dramatic worse government complex system government to government they limit the likelihood of delivery and operating multiple problems reinforcing each other the most significant governments were we got the admin apparatus the risk we face are not financial disagreement likelihood of the interactions of these factors personnel is policy only collective bargaining unlocks expert bureaucracy Bednar 26 unions provide benefits Trump uses authority to undermine the ability to unionize Trump said he has a from million of their CBS one president manager expertise the terms of litigation procedures on change the law curves graph procedures general expertise reserves all examples of policy bureaucrats from the policy they carry on nurses and trust special announced policy board legislative documents across active tackle comments forms of the environment banking immigration healthcare native issues standards guide recommendation professional norms agency culture members and conference journals black expertise their own civil service counterpart draft extension into super workforce guide by different commitments protection process ability no time to track active merit improves performance bargaining provides a quote collective identity that orients workers towards social good Bruno and grants 16 employees through the union's motivation take away the right remove the most important incentive to recruit workers without collective identity perceive employment as also way to earn weakened institution workers pursue careers in public sector in spite of lower wages unions uniquely diffuse disputes and improve morale Kepler 24 benefits example allocation results bargaining is a voice exercise the voice parents info sharing needs brings managers attention of the officer push resulting in conflict the interest of refinement bargaining to valid workers remove that increase the likelihood of speech giving voice can generate empowerment as effects of morale protections against polarization are key Shoemaker 25 Trump's got a way to get the majority of employees are sticking many from keep their heads on the same thing jobs somewhere else the social business market is limited Trump's still blue 2 million for all Trump's process of holding minority back Trump 30% voted from that employer how many were letting retirees workers who were damaging intended to fight leaders British workers who resisted those in the process leading protection shield of service meta-analysis proves the bureaucracy is effective but only in the absence of politicization Suzuki 25 Trump's initiated unprecedented reforms of scale speed without precedent schedule to replace bureaucrats and officials on with the gender reforms raising the amount of time when officials establish goals that lack knowledge for thousands of decisions organization and experience cannot be replicated decisions require expertise rather than political judgment politicians overreach low knowledge and focus on short-term gains performance reflectalization more muscle research from diverse contexts and short-term non-performance or review the lesson provides compelling evidence systems better reconciliation comprehensive expertise and autonomy risking a decline in policy now the plan the United States federal government should substantially strengthen collective bargaining rights for civil servants removed by Executive Orders 14343 and 14251, excluding agencies and subdivisions of the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Defense by finding that Article 2 of the Constitution does not vest the executive with the authority to unilaterally terminate collective bargaining rights. Finally, solvency. The plan enumerates a narrow understanding of Article 2 that limits executive authority, paras 25. Schedule F may violate Article 2, which requires the President to take care of use of the UT campaign. Host are clauses, the source of vast authority, the President powers, calls, limit of the Constitution of vest. Absolute power of the President to include the board, all things on the Constitution, sounds of any explicit rule, power, take care, shall be the President, possesses power to fire any service for any reason, execution, limited on executive discretion, executive the mandate, is going to go restricting the government schedule, rights. Political imagination is even more important in the face of Trump 2.0, arguing for civil service protections is normatively valuable. Mason 25, which government do plus vision and conversation of problems and authority used for asking a question when the government is in the hands of the collective, not the government. Imagine policy in the world, why is a legitimate project that hostile the ideas are worth arguing for it is not going to that arguing the reasons that arguing cities like to be adopted along with organizations that hold position as merits species as when starting churches becomes important every civil forward to the goal. The end is beginning with the tech and professionals, labor concerns, and negative criticism not enough. We need is defensive civil service jobs, tech and professionals are part of the Trump project defensive norms. Grassroots being resistant professionals and laws government do policy. We need civil service protections. Constitutional legalism is contingent and can break down hierarchies, but foregoing federal collective bargaining seats power to the populist right. Andreas 25, right? Never stop opposing labor question constitutionality. The U.S. is winning federal assaulting on the social deal. Judges Smith, the Vanguard, the attacking several components, building conservative legal theory, labor challenges, corporate power, embracing control of the workplace. Trump, and after the selection of workers, union students, self-downs, advanced suggestions, and attempt to strengthen the U.S. government versus civil service protection sugar. Guards against these officers, helping move to advancing rights, building, opposing vision, democratic officer, defend the organize their refined rights, collective labor, labor submitted to eradicate racial and gender hierarchies, worker change games, and emphasis, universal rights, veto, a goal for kind of the people includes that efforts have constitution mention refined rights, government must do labor, limit country, across population, our rights are contingent, project debate, versus not always progress, our populace, we can use reverse hierarchical relationships, increase the power of the president. The law is a tool, not a strategy. It provides a language to articulate normative demands and mobilize bottom-up movements, especially in the context of labor. Meekin 22 movements of every time mobilize law to prevent justice, law rights, language demands to be articulated, cause of action, one of the spectrum laws is legalism, reviews existing, churches, women, or the role of law, governing, justice, promoting, premature, conclusion, scholars, that the law is a tool, justice, mobilization, recognizes criticism, culture, against action, dismissal, movements, use law from the bottom up, to action, into the movements, mobilization, and vice versa. The court is embracing the UET, but they're not totally rolling over Trump. Negative evidence will be selection bias. Goldsmith 25, arresting claims of wrong, court to nominate, issue 60 term later, court issued 8 minutes. The court flipped the jury cases during the period of Philip 2 analysis points of fundamental problem inferences. There are dozens of ruling shows when leave attack the partner shows the court is ruling on cases. The SG thinks their reasoning is weak. The court sees rulings in this year for discuss the drug conclusion of substantive unrepresentative. Not unsure of what is Trump is not the only president of our heads of ages. Biden is the first Trump has been more aggressive than the UET. Courts matter, even despite authoritarianism. Green 25. It seemed like nonsense. Speak of laws as authoritarian, not acceptable. This is oversimplified ruling entirely coercion is exhausting ruling events and the law central courts become errors in contention. Law is complex with authoritarian regimes, often accounts for the judiciary's defense against aversion. One who just either go country for years time. Judiciary for authoritarian facilities, having for courts, citizen punishing crimes that do not comply. Be pragmatic. Solving problems is good, even if the 1AC solution happens to be imperfect. Barn-Thaler 24 debates suggest problem solving should be avoided. Focus on structure to overturn injustice if possible. Research everything. Problem solving and service transformation becomes crucial, even if incommensurable problem solving will still unsettle these parameters where required problematic structure problem solving takes place in policy transform guided by analysis. Best to be small stepwise approach enables scaling up as a result of policy. Okay.
These scores are already set.
Okay, cool. Unions orient members towards public good. Davis 12. Unions are integral in increasing autonomy. Unions alter perception of work. Unions communicate motivation. The union is associated with willingness to sacrifice for responsibility for the collective good. Emotions foster peace and bargaining process can be contributed to higher performing agencies because they participate in rule creation. Fiat is critical of status quo structures. Hewer and Collier 24. React to something desirable has happened. Imagine power to define policy grounded in hopefulness. The conditions will be tools to improve, survive, performance, and knowledge. Efforts to require engagement, benefits, and trade-offs of alternative theories. Policies, response, excellent policies, though, limit oneself to topic areas. Simply policy making utopic components, courage, radical experimentation theories. Not like sport dynamics, which shift them, like forces to question news. Policy area forces to question news. Subject expert reserve research remains, which led to more commitments. Reform and tackle the justice and its conclusion. Norman and no other policy agreement possible. Critical theories of evidence states is bad. The contemporary scholarship resist. This is multifaceted establishment on the right state law. Ontologically bad. What they engages in critiquing all executive structure engagement and necessary safety. No all potential for transgression. Refusal might forego too much for review progress. Establish hopeful policies. Enactment and delayed social movements. Priorities requires alleviation of suffering, speculation, open space, produce radical praxis. We reserve the right to clarify funding and enforcement. Anything else is unfair, arbitrary. Dex Afghan. The resolution says should, not would, which applies debate over hypothetical consequences. I'm good for process. These cards were already sent there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Daniel, you got this.
Yeah, I got them.
Okay. You good?
Yeah.
What does voting AF do for black people?
The Mason evidence indicates that voting AF forwards a normative vision of collective bargaining rights. And
What does that do for black people?
Well, the second thing that I was
Okay.
about to say is that we'll make arguments that Trump's attack on the civil service is like a hugely racialized attack.
Agreed.
Yes. What?
So what does voting AF do
Well, so
for
the
black
connection
people?
between those two things is if Mason evidence says voting AF combats Trump attack on civil service. And
Where
Trump
does voting AF combat Trump's
Voting aft
policy.
affirms the idea that arguing in favor of civil service protections is normatively desirable, which, as per our Mason evidence, says makes those ideas more likely to
Cool.
get
Oh,
adopted.
absolutely. Let's talk about that. The Mason 25 evidence says that debating about good ideas make them more likely to be adopted.
Yes.
Can you name me 3 policy actions that have been proposed in debate that have been implemented in
Yeah,
the real world?
absolutely.
Go ahead.
So Annabelle Long, who debated in California in high school a couple of years ago,
Okay.
advocated on the high school education topic for Title IX reform. Literally got a bill passed about it in the California legislature. I don't know 2 more, but that's a really good
Okay,
example.
so
of
like,
recent one.
what is it? So if there's been like hypothetically millions of policies that have been advocated for a debate, hold on. So if there have been millions of policies that have been advocated for a debate, and you've named me one that has actually been passed, what is the chances of this particular plan being passed?
I think that's like a weird way to calculate risk.
Why?
You don't need to
No,
go
wait,
100%.
wait. Why is that weird? Your Mason evidence says that the app is good
But
because it's
Mason
like to be
doesn't-
adopted
Mason
in the
doesn't-
status
no,
quo.
Mason
No,
doesn't
that's
say
what
that
the court says.
Mason
That's
doesn't
what
say
the
that it's
explanation was.
one-to-one correlative. It says that a sustained process of normative advocacy
Okay,
engagement
I
is
think,
required,
yeah,
which is
okay,
what
I
the
think
app
we can all
is.
agree.
The app is not
that this
one-to-one. Yes, you
Yeah.
agree. You've gotten us to say that voting app doesn't pass the plan.
Perfect, that's all I wanted you to
Obviously,
say, that's fine. The plan text, is the
Yeah.
Supreme Court the one that finds Article 2 doesn't meet the executive authority?
Yeah.
So, Supreme Court 6-3 majority, what evidence you read that said they will overrule in favor of Article 2?
2 cards. Well, so first of all, the language of the plan ensures a ruling on Article
Why?
2 because it uses the literal words Article 2 and also cites
Yeah,
the
but
best
the
of
Supreme Court has to find it in violation.
Yes.
If
Plan
Republicans
text
are
says,
majority Supreme Court, why would they find
Plan
it in
text,
violation?
plan text quote, by finding that Article 2 of the Constitution
So
does
you
not vest
fiat that they find it in violation.
Well, that's what the ruling of the plan is about.
Okay,
Yes, we've
so-
read
so
insolvency
you-
advocates that
So
indicate
you
that
fiat that racist judges will favor in front of unions, right?
That's probably better than racist judges not doing that.
Well, that's the status quo, Ike, and I don't think voting after
We've read
that's
evidence
fine.
that indicates that
I want
Trump
to
is
talk
willing
about
to
the
rule
Davis
with
25 card. Most Americans hate Trump now and disagree with him, but in places like Venezuela, why would there be forever war if him and MAGA are likely to regain the presidency now?
What? I don't understand the question.
Like, your
Back
evidence
up.
says that
So, like,
Trump
if you
will be
read,
taken
if you read
forever.
like a 2028 elections DA uniqueness card that says that he's not.
Well,
likely
that's
to
not
be
our plan,
presidency,
unfortunately, but I would like you to answer the question. It'd be
Well,
nice.
because the authoritarian project that Trump is currently participating in encourages expansion. That's the whole
Wait,
point.
why? What's more for that?
What? Well, in
Like,
Venezuela,
why does expansion matter if
Oh,
he won't regain presidency?
Because there's 3 years and then he still is president. It's
Well,
really
what?
not
Okay,
stopping
that
him.
brings us to my next
And
question.
also our
Wait, hold
evidence-
on, that's
What's
fine.
the
Next,
Yeah,
that's,
I got
okay,
it.
that's okay. Next question. What is the bright line for escalation? When does it
Right
happen?
line for escalation?
Yeah,
It's
who-
happening now.
Okay, so Venezuela is an example of bombing. Does
Yes.
the app defend any sort of like extinction impact that happens?
It's like escalation will continue and increase. We don't really need it to be extinction.
Okay, cool.
Alright, I'm gonna send it out. It'll
What is
be
it?
2 in the
No.
next.
Is there an order to cake?
Yeah, it'll be 3.
It's 3 solvency.
Yeah, 3 solvency. And it'll be 1 and 2.
Okay. I need a sec.
All good.
I have not gotten it.
Yeah, I'm sending it right
Oh, that.
now. Alright, I just sent it. Let me know when you get it.
I've yet to get it.
Yeah.
Cool. I need to download it and then I'm good.
Okay.
Alright. I'm good if I kiss.
You see? Curtis?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. We would like to honor the following: Edmund Owasu, Hotep X, Benjamin Hagwood, Jaleesa Jackson, Latanya Starks, Dr. Atolson, Ed Lee, Will Baker, Daryl Birch, Eric Mathis, Suntrice Martin, Amber Kelsey, Tiffany, Dillard Knox, Cameron Ward, Stephen Bailey, Kofi, Sam, Nate, Edwards, Devin Cooper, Fernando, Nick Kirkman, Corey Knox, Ignacio Evans, Toya Green, DSRB, Candace T, Saria, Holly, Rashid Keppel, Ryan Wash, Elijah Smith, Julissa Hampton, Devon Murphy, Nick, Nave, Giannar, Liriano, Brooke, Kimber, Karam Robinson, Asia Butler, Kane Cherry, Corey Fisher, Kevin Houghton, Timmy Tobe, Gonja, Jasmine Pickens, Marvin Puerto, DSRB, Phil Phil Samuels, Nigel Taylor Ward, Trevor Turner, Eli T. Lewis, Tommy Whittington, Kenny, Delph DJ Williams, Ed Williams, and all the other people we couldn't name. We would also like to honor those who have been enslaved, those who continue to work even without a job, and those who are going to continue to labor. On Black History Month, the ballot should go to the team that best honors Black History Month through the argumentation, speech acts, BHM, and labor movements. Ernest Wyman, the Center of Non-Legal Solutions and Abolitionist Community Building, Gonzalez and Lassiter, and 25 Black History Month explores the role of Black liberation throughout history in ways that work with the intersect with the collective experiences of Black people, be it debates among Black educators, self-help strategies, and entrepreneurship, organized labor, Black people's work, as we transformational Black history months highlight, and self-managed work, accepting work, allows for deeper understanding of Black labor culture, customs, and times he's working on all the reverse compensated labor factories, military, government agencies, office building, public services, and private homes. Also includes the efforts of social justice activists, volunteers, who their communities, and development institutions, which are community groups and social clubs, understanding Black labor is essential for grasping Black people's experiences, histories, and cultures, African values. America's in these days are appointed by European countries in the United States government, and during this period of Black people labor primarily for others. Some work for themselves while living in a country that did not value Black lives. The study African American and labor struggles is a central focus of developing new interpretations and reiterating Black system has present and future. Vote negative, and that means we must be move beyond legal focus. Smiley and 17 collective bargaining system which workers exercise power in a way that confronts capital that regulates capital over the people of the communities. Collective bargaining cannot be limited to ground parents, collective bargaining phase. Focuses to the illegal for organizations as far as massive vision and collective bargaining. Compartmentalism, the workers negotiate over who they can negotiate with. And governing white supremacy must remain an element of government workers weakening their collective power. And this debate is not about the hypothetical implementation of the plan, but rather about the actual relationship to the whole. Vote negative for wage worker practice that challenges racial logic, racial slavery, and colonialism inside and outside. Debate briefly. The 21 Black debaters are developing rhetorical argumentative strategies to engage Black disability, religious futurity. You talk about lines, but when you walk by the sea, but you have literally nothing to fucking say to us, but say you are part of the community. Black scholarship focus on spaces like the basic constitution, Black that, and as an example of wage work, the renouncing against Black score, rejects structural antagonists, and producing conscious that offers a path to new strategic engagement, building community debate in 27 NDC debate. Remember, Piazza, when is the first life savers for all of the apps you know, the people in the Arctic, you know, the communities in the Arctic, and you know, family in the Arctic, and that opposite body of their policies, they exist from their policies, which is why the advocated policies that may affect people in the Arctic have little knowledge of those people in their lives. What changes those policies, dangerous, encouraging, and studies, tourism, debates, role playing, and policy advocates who are the strong and various populations without ever acting to it to be the hard Black. Represent example political theorizing from the whole and active, bringing out the dead, not everyone feels part of the community. Black people made to feel like they're the spaces represented. Black people, Black persons, Black debates, so work. Listen and pay attention. Next up. Your dreams are not dreams, rather anti-Black nightmares. No one sees affirmation of labor policies, vehicle for liberation is based in objective possibilities and cost conscious, not accessible to the actual state, which literally increases slavery without limits. So 18 to 24 working class unity rules. Trump will become the district contact and average numbers, proportions of history. Also, the history should be a poverty over manifesting the rules, social systems, district heresies, party technology, speaking out of it. So we can go for strong dirty, education goes out of the object and let's say different from the abstract duties, slaves, knowledge, digital, slavery without limits, and expanded. The one he sees a process of making that's complicit in historical revisionism, the strength of civil society, white supremacy institutions, the guys that liberate 17 to 20 were classic, English, class, world, new ways to liberate, history, weighted, recovery, usual passive groups, and complicity, history, liberate, for making civilian, new labor, history, coordination, society, transforming, historical goodness, historical institutions, that classes, thought to be liberated from, structural relationship of white, wage, journalists, celebrated, liberal society, liberal loyalties, not within mystifying forces, other than that, and class-based struggle, liberal consciousness, intensified, unified race, and class, as race, standing for survey, the systems, the liberal root, history, responsibility, the promise of working, solidarity, liberty, unity, workers, of course, races, of course, race, workers, geographies, positions, class, alternative principle, of uses, brotherly identities, not necessarily a bunch of way making structures of the labor history, exclusions of Black workers, literature, academic racial divisions of Black workers themselves, radically along racial lines, interference, work, Black visitation, Black emancipation, and civil servants are anti-Black tools of police state to protect and serve white space by eliminating Blackness for ontological presence that justifies racial specialization, violent atrocities. Williams 24 when we not release officers, public administration, other civil servants, including with the white civil society, we begin to see visions, social description for no formation, racial planning, thus followed by planning by the state action, state and action, private action, specialization, racial analyzation, illuminating the Black body as well, just as the political state rationalizing, disseminated that which justifies the special no rules of the formal white quality. Not only are Black people ontologically devalued, but the places that they live as well. Black health concerns, Black people are tired of more, paying for more, and for less, and tired of living in manifest as long as the worst. Devaluation included total objectification of Black bodies, physical, the treating racialized practices within African American English. Once every other day, in St. Louis, right race, no right of 1917 whites, worked with the police to decorate landscape with 39 Black bodies, chasing out reclaiming 5,000 right now. Black people that what was white space, and core focuses are anti-Black frenzy. 21 representatives perfect outside of the what the people that personalize other colonies, safe, urbanity, and not work. Housing, school security, persist, well, police healing, Black people, legally massive restriction, resist, voting rights, restriction, adverse, rollback, their white, equality, Black people, white people, balloon to very close, like it's so, excessive, non-police, constitutional parts of the civil reforms, link the violent nation to the war, and sack, blackness. Okay, yeah, which?
No, keep going.
Okay, reject the one in favor of placing a wager on Blackness, Sorrentino 24, anti-racism, reproduces, regenerates the promise of 30 we see, to be condemned when possible, committing as a Black speaking, building analysis, different pictures, Black Africa's concentration, taxation, closure, freedom, as they see the representation process, policies against workers, against general sex, against the plantation, freedom of primary construction, against the purchase, freedom, beyond the political substitutions, Black suffering, is bargaining to reduce manifest, rejection, law, tradition, organization, wager, Blackness, the position, possibilities, substitutions, violence, institutions by liberal martial possibility for coalition, review of colors, resolution rate sexuality goals can be equivalent with the world labor trust movement is current policies without this major and that's what then non-black people who organize through that labor could reproduce the anti-black drive without this and look at anti-black anti-racist and left and capitalist versions as a saints of proletariat. Extinction rhetoric is anti-black and invest in a little bit no drives to reject this sex 19 anti-black is litigate liberty versus that because of that metaphysical misapprehension triangulation constitutes interest society like black is condition destruction of metaphysical fantasy like being a global drive that drive it pursuit impossible object structure repetition circles and the other result fixation anti-black pursuits individual structure be a little bit no economy cut the guard a little bit no economy. Their model of debate is anti-black briefly cuts 25 black and social argumentation was meant instrumental white German political each way around most political formation anti-black version of your character and classical response to make it and characterizing theory purpose reinforce colonial logic state cross efficacy classical social argumentation and social and to make it easy hegemonic of all 60 there are no rules moments we have the essay and abolition of invocation argument and techniques and the only when it's to be possible make the resolutions like a contract there is a solution of hegemonic norms like practice but challenge also make racial colonial contract the argument that the errors argumentation is dated to say racist classes ableist issue patriarchal radical purchase cycle conversation given that neuroscience is intellectual black political subjects yes those terms of black is under racial liberal political matchmaking like people work forward only see stars versus representation French versus black versus never policy making and the evidence is here implicated by the effects anti-black microaggressions cut the card there yeah is bad Traber 18 what skills are going to use radical political actions yeah is bad for training activists yeah this sort of radical advocacy debate is usually practical policies groups states and applications feminist music individual sexual harassment policies outside the state no one's outside behavior individual policies for outside the state policies skills not safe policies bad because positions of debate means of the state is given without debate is going to engage in not safe movement policy people favor yeah outside the fashion debate policies understated as we have safe pretending distortion we think about those policies already because even the action distorts the nature of those policies when we're saying about coming against like the first okay and not sure to be a policy figure cut the card there go to case 3. The Mason and Hewer evidence impact turned above civil servants and anti-black which turns their justifications. Hewer is wrong, it's not critical of the evidence has to play with neoliberal reform which says impact turned above. No further specification, hold them to the plain text of the 1AC. Anything else justifies act on terms or standards, justifies deleting dis as case turns, etc. Now, courts, 1 constitutional conservatism. The people in SCOTUS restrict originalists and abide by the Constitution that circumvents their advocacy because SCOTUS engages in conservative judicial activism and no will not make the ruling. 2 test cases, normal means is test cases. The courts must review to even consider before must review them and to even consider collective bargaining rights. The act does not give this test case in the 1AC and SCOTUS cannot review it. Which means they get no solvency. So Gonzaga presumption, forever wars. Congress lets Trump do wars, Gaza, coups in Africa, and more prove no forever wars. Code 24. There's no such thing as forever wars. No such thing as express ignorance. Afghanistan, Africa. Forever war, accuracy, long forever war. Lengthy absurd. Absurdly, the occupations, extremely low levels of combat, active combat, or often wars and full long wars like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Ukraine. None were everlasting. Now Fed workers too late. They're in the private sector now. Nothing about voting out brings them back to hate. The new workers won't come back since they hate Trump's guts. 3 no solvency. People left. Rehiring is needed. They have no evidence that the plan does not mandate or spill over to the bringing back Fed workers. So presumption since it only strengthens collective bargaining rights. Now 2, Bruno and Grant reject it. It's pre-Trump based on a study with no sample size and listed a small study from Illinois. So presume it's a false positive. Now Union, CBA sale failure at 25. There's absolutely zero enforcement mechanisms available until the federal unions enforce CBAs. There was no general counsel of the FLRA. No, the complaints can be issued changes. The commission no longer be implemented with the pulling of bargaining obligation agents. Maybe completely ignore the union. The union is suspended for several times only. Received absolutely nothing. Cut the card at nothing. No one will represent federal workers. Burn bomb. 25. Law refused to represent Trump when it's cracked down. It's having digitally effectively resisted to saying law firms that have back and them under steering clear for weaker event of the court in the first room executive order target and firms that challenge betting and lawyers from government buildings and foreign companies that have federal contracts employing the first leadership and won't take the risk complex litigation requires master research and let the resistance public interest cases. Cut the card there. Delays for Section 323 newly union and attorney was until it ratifies CPAs employers will continue to union campaigns to ensure that doesn't happen.
Okay. Cut the card if it doesn't happen on the green with it.
Cool. I like low-key wouldn't normally ask, but can we get a mark doc? Because they were like...
Yeah, you're good. I can do that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just let me know when you send it. I'm good to start whenever you send it.
Yeah, I'll just have like the little like
perfect.
dashes right there.
That's good.
Yeah, I can shoot. Let me sit that real quick.
No worries.
I'm actually get some water before crossing. So
For sure.
Okay. Then while y'all get that, I'm just go to the water content.
Cool. See what LS first edition. You got any guesses, Curtis? You got any guesses what LS said?
I don't even want to think about it.
Let's look, right? Okay. Cat K.
Shocker.
Fair. Wow, fair enough.
With a guess.
Good start. Decent point. Fair enough on deck. next equity count plan.
Okay.
Whoa.
Straight process.
For
That's our
Parker.
process.
Yeah, it's our problem. Holden took our car, but his name on that. That's ridiculous.
We're good.
All right. Cool.
Wait, I'm opening the docs.
Oh, that.
Good.
Okay. Are both positions conditional?
Their disposition.
Yeah.
They're both dispositional?
Yes.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, so the Black History Month procedural isn't like an advocacy, it's a procedural, so.
You said vote negative for weight work. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
not
like vote,
advocacy?
well, that's like saying vote negative for top Cali, it doesn't mean like it's advocacy.
Okay. The procedural itself says the ballot should go to the team that best honors Black History Month.
Yeah.
How do you determine who is best honored Black History Month?
Well, I think one important clarification is that if you command F black in one seat, it comes up absolutely 0 times. The negative has presented a performance where we've honored people, talk about Black people's labor struggles, which we
Okay.
think is
So
competition.
I want
The
to talk
2A
about
seat
some
does
of
not
those
get new answers.
Black labor struggles.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've said on the other K, you've read cards that unions are racist. You've read cards on this critique
Yeah.
that say, or this page that
Yeah.
say that unions are good. It
Yeah.
lists examples. Says
Well-
that nurses, musicians, lawyers have organized for better working conditions
Yeah.
and compensation.
So
Can you
there's
reconcile those?
so there's a distinction, right? So first, we've made the argument that, you've read arguments that says that unions in a wholesale understanding are, anti-racist, gender, etc. We think that Black people have engaged in unionized spaces which are historically been anti-Black. That does not disprove that Black labor in and of itself is anti-racist. We don't think the AF is an all-Black union, obviously. We've made critiques about
Sorry,
how
no,
civil
I
service
just-
will be used to push out Trump's demands, which we think is anti-Black.
Okay, civil servants will be used to push out Trump
Yes.
demands. What card says that?
The Williams 24 card is pretty good. It doesn't necessarily
Williams
say,
is about
yeah.
housing planning.
It is about how, no, it's not. The bottom of the card talks about how civil servants were complicit in doing things like hanging Black people as decorations at the bottom.
Wait, no.
It does.
This card says that.
If you go to the bottom, it talks about that.
Yes.
No,
it's
this
like,
is the. wait, this
No,
is
you,
the-
you have to read the bottom.
it's like the bottom says
The
like
bottom.
the spectacle of.
Yeah, I'm
lynching.
reading the
Yeah,
bottom of the
spectacle
card.
lynching, yes.
Yeah.
Wait, but why? Where does this say that civil servants?
At
No,
the top,
it says
the top says civil
yeah. The
servants.
top is
Very
like
clear, it
everything
says
is in context of civil
Okay,
service.
So it
so
talks about how
I'm
civil servants collude with
Okay,
civil society.
for sure.
The bottom gives the example
On
of
the
them
on the
doing that.
case, you've said that civil servants hate Trump's guts. So why would they?
So like
cooperate
people
with
people who like obviously want to resist Trump are gone now. There's no reason why they would come back since they hate Trump.
Yeah.
it? Okay.
We're talking about
they don't want to
Sure,
work for him.
fair
like
enough.
that process.
But like, even though, like, they would still be like, oh shit, Trump gave my job back, maybe he's
Okay,
kinda cool.
so
you know?
no Forever Wars defense card. I know you guys are sick of the PerfCon gimmick, but like this one is a blogger at rationalpolicy.com who writes for the Federalist. The defense is that Iraq and Afghanistan do not technically constitute forever wars. Why is this like ethically defensible within the
First of all,
framework
we have
of
just
the
said
UN?
that those things are like not forever wars because the card is in the context
does
of
not-
those wars not literally
Like,
being
we have
forever.
not defended like Iraq and Iran being like
Yeah.
practical actors. That's like very distinct.
That,
we
that's
think,
not that's
Okay,
not
fair enough.
yeah, like that's
yeah.
probably kind of
the-
that's super targeted. I can't even count.
Okay, the alt
Yeah.
on either K, are they a pick?
The procedural is not an advocacy, so
Okay.
it's not the pick. The alternative on the critique is not the pick.
Doesn't do the plan, thinks it's
No,
not.
it's not doing like
Cool, awesome. Do you need prep?
Like 2
Let's
minutes,
have a second,
yes. Yep. The what? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
I can figure it out. Yeah.
Cool.
Alright, 1 sec.
No worries. I can also just hand it to you.
I mean, it's in the docs, so
Okay.
I just need to move around.
Cool.
Let me just pull it up. Actually, I'll use the bathroom.
Yeah, no, that's almost over with that.
I said to the Loki, I'm gonna go too.
LOL.
Daniel, might as well go, bro.
Yeah,
There you
honestly,
are.
at this point. Bro, there's no way. Yeah, I gotta go all the way upstairs. It's ridiculous.
watch the game last night?
Which one?
BYU.
Yes, like in bits and pieces.
I was also watching it in bits and pieces during.
What's it called? I know a lot of LDS people.
Yeah.
Growing
Oh,
up
yeah.
from Wyoming and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so I was texting a lot of people. That was very nice. Yeah. Darren Peterson is becoming.
He's going first, man.
He's going first, but
This
I'd like
cramps
him.
thing is.
I'd like him to play a full.
Do you think
game.
it's like okay? Do you think it's like draft stock protection, or do you think he's actually like?
I just feel like it has. I don't fucking know, dog. Like, yeah, I just like don't know, but it's frustrating me.
No, it's because it's also frustrating because of how good he plays. Like you know,
Yeah,
and you see, you're like, holy shit, like
Oh my god.
this
Yeah.
team's gonna win the tournament, and then he's like, no, 16 minutes straight.
I was like, look at like Flory and Melvin.
Tiller's
and
awesome last
Bryson Tiller, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, dude, I still forgot like I saw you at the
Yeah.
game because I was just like I was bored and I
You know
got like
what's-
tickets for like $5 and I was just like.
Dude, you know what's so funny? When I fled home to Baltimore, the entire Towson team was like on the flight.
That makes
I was
sense.
sitting next to the coach, like just randomly, and I was like the most awkward conversation because I was like, I saw he was like wearing a thing, so I was like, hey man, you like go to the game? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh. He's like, I had to be there. I'm the coach. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Dude,
No, dude, that game was brutal.
The weird like KU basketball, KU debate Twitter like KU connection is like y'all Connor Brown. Is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's like mutuals with Flory Badunga. Like he
Just, like,
follows
randomly?
him on he follows him on Instagram because they have the same French class or something.
They're like in class. That's
Yeah.
so funny. Yeah.
Everyone good for an order?
Yes.
It should be in yellow, right? Okay. The executive power advantage first. Then the bureaucracy advantage.
Is that the 1, 2?
Yep. Solvency. Procedural. Okay.
I believe I am good.
I am also good.
Okay. Executive power outweighs an unrestrained president unleashes global escalation through aggressive foreign policy, secret wars, and rogue nuclear use against great powers. That's E-right. And Davis prioritizing extinction is the only irreversible impact and cause massive suffering in the interim because it's not ever dies at the same time. Use consequentialism. 1. Regression. Alternatives. Collapse back into it because there's no other way to compare ethical frames. 2. Trade-offs. Nothing else can evaluate relative harm, so default F. Even if our ethical theory is flawed. Yes, precedent. Originalism is a reason why there is precedent because all these justices care about reliance interests and would follow on. Worst case, the lower courts follow on because they're far less conservative. But our Goldsmith evidence is that there's selection bias and that the Supreme Court is embracing the UAT, but they're not totally voting over for Trump, so they will embrace the plan. The fiat's a test case because the plan text explains the reasoning and the grounds and the ruling for why and what it would do, which means that any other argument is circumvention and squarely contravenes the plan text, which is unfair because the app would lose every debate and the resolution says should instead of would. Congress does check our evidence, says that executive personalism means they're structurally more likely to initiate wars. Congress is more level-headed and allows and prevents escalatory personalism, and also recent empirics like the War Powers Resolution on Venezuela prove that they do check. Yes, forever wars. This card is more than a year old and doesn't assume recent empirics like Venezuela, and it's literal propaganda. They're a writer at the National Review and the Federalist Society. PerfCon is a voting issue. Hypocrisy forces 2AC double turns and proves they care more about strategy, so fairness outweighs and weakens of reps. Bureaucracy advantage. The bureaucracy solves extinction, job terminal impact, and tricks cascading threats from the environment, public health, and disasters. That's feral CBAs. Do not fail durable if you solves it squarely within the mandate of the plan because the plan would have to include enforcement for those rights. Worst case, we'll read evidence that says that union weights and resources are enough to overcome hostile FLRA majorities. Yes, representation, union resources solve. They have in-house counsel and funding in order to recruit lawyers, even if some other lawyers are scared of Trump. Delays do not crush solvency. The plan is speedy and threats force compliance. The worst case, there's no impact to delay. It's not too late. Federal workers are staying in the federal government but cowering because of Trump. That's Schumacher. Concede federal workers hate Trump. That can only be good for some of the case since they'll resist conservatism, but it doesn't implicate solvency because our evidence says that they're staying but need union rights to feel confident in resisting him. That's Bednar. Don't reject Bruno and Grant. They don't have better evidence and it makes structural claims that are still true. Worst case, the Davis study that Danny read at the bottom of the one I see corroborates those results and is more representative. Solvency. Civil servants are not anti-black. We disagree. We'll read more cards on the K. Fiat is critical. Playing with a neoliberal reform is how we figure out that it's bad because we need to familiarize ourselves with structures in order to figure out how to resist them. We specified enough in the plan text that we specified the ruling and the reasoning for the plan. Solvency advocates explain what normal means of the plan is, and this is logical, so everyone can figure out what the plan does and read D's to it. Procedural. You can honor Black History Month and affirm wage work without voting negative. 1. The burden of rejoinder is good. The next should disprove the plan relative to the status quo or competitive option that increases class research and education. 2. Abolitionist community building requires fiat and pragmatic debates over political solutions. Empty valorization fails. Smiley says that collective bargaining is good. It says that current NLRA definitions are too narrow and that they need to be broadened. Inserted in the document. 3. The passive ETA symbolism is co-opted and trades off with material change by falsely raising the stakes of a voluntary contest. 4. Arbitrary NCA. Non-resolution procedurals are arbitrary and infinitely regressive. The DAG can always move the goalposts to moot 9 minutes of 1AC offense. If the procedurals remain, they should make later arguments and weigh against the case. Arbitrariness destroys research and fairness, making us worse scholars and less informed advocates. Also turns their offenses any alternative causes people to spam A to Z spec against minority debaters. 5. Elevating the bounds bad. This debate doesn't pass judgment on whether wage work is good or bad. It just decides who won round 5 in Texas. Tying the belt to ethical transformation creates backfires. It creates a false choice between fighting white supremacy and the plan and forces judges to adjudicate the moral worth of competing groups or movements and teaches debaters how to argue against community building instead of engaging it. 6. Tokenization day. They can modify resistance. Singular endorsement doesn't spill over or change subject. 7. No link, and you can perm to the F and also honor Black History Month and these people. Ed is our coach, and we've discussed the F with him, which proves that discussions over the plan are good, especially when Gonzalez says labor is good. We'll concede that. It's also, this takes up every single argument that they've made on the K. Gonzalez evidence says that lawyers are good and that they're capable of organizing people. Schedule F is racist, and the civil service is disproportionately good for Black people to bear. 25. Trump launched attacks on the government policies through nowhere near to help the Black middle class. The post office was the largest employer of Black people. The government hired Black Americans to hire race conservatives, plotted to raid the government. The workforce is disproportionately Black people. And worker protections is one of the places where they be protected by people. Interpret attacks on the government and as an attack on education, as an attack on Black Americans getting rid of education, which related to the department's role of civil rights that Trump promising to get rid of the department's possible to separate animosity to the government from opposing progress. Read Berkeley's wrong. Embodiment is compatible with debate. We read this partially because my uncle is a civil rights lawyer at the EEOC, which proves that it can be embodied, but forcing embodied a model of embodied debate causes outing and forces debaters to confront lived experience they may not want to. Okay. 1. Framework. With the case versus links, A. Fairness, power questions unpredictably move 1 AC offense. It's the only about intrinsic impact and outweighs since flowing, deleting analytics, and deleting line by line demonstrates mutual reliance. B. Clash. Back and forth engagement creates the skills necessary to actualize the alt. C. Pragmatism. Harm reduction in service of broader goals is good and possible. It's impossible to restructure everything at once, so you lose frameworks, make transformative change impossible. That's bar theory. 2. Permutation. Do both. Either shields or the alt can't overcome the status quo. The net benefits the case. Only the ACT coalitions that work together to take down Trump. 3. The world is not ontological or ontologically anti-black. A. It's inaccurate and bad. Read and born. 26. There's no overarching and transhistorical guiding directions, notions are racist liberation and freedom have no specific concept reported continuity as are unitary objectives diminishing significance of concrete distinctions obscure differences between past and present cannot inform contemporary politics rather than exonation to deny these historics explain them a way that the perspective exclusive politics among Black people that VRA and expose the inadequacy of teleological class specification to enable turning away from complexities that do not fit specifically in the context of labor policy, which is their example that they explained on the Black Sleeping Car Porters Union on the procedural that we inserted. B. Political hope and humanism are good. 25. Hope is foundational motivation to shape life for future giving, life meaning empowerment individuals that focus on achievable goals and mention fair and more just on the hope that can be disappoint and fair motivating force lead to a brighter creative future of their creative politics team and possibilities defeat exists underpinned by humanist aspirations from community and disparate humanism offer resources and increasingly fragmented world that challenges its possession only and that through democratic deliberations resources and hope are both aspirational and practical. Even if they win this, harm reduction is still good because things can get worse and extinction causes suffering. The 1AC is not an anti-black nightmare. A. We do not invoke class consciousness or defend unionism in the traditional sense. Sorrentino is a critique of the private sector labor union movement, but our Bruno evidence says that yes, federal workers are guided by separate drives that serve the public. That's at Bruno. That means permutation to the app and reject the frame of working class unity solves. The transparency thesis is bad. Labor is contrasted with abhorrent conditions that enslaved people are subjected to, not Black people themselves. The app is not myth-making. A. Sorrentino is criticizing race reductionism. That's not the 1AC. We don't talk about class or economic inequality at all. B. The app does not legitimize anything because we are public sector unions. That was above. Democracy is not a product of chattel slavery. A. We don't endorse it. The app is not a blank check, or rather a pragmatic the recognition that constraints on Trump is better than an unmitigated far-right administration that turns Lincoln's Trump and magnifies anti-black violence. B. Warren doesn't apply to critique of democracy not being responsive enough. Winning case solvency demonstrates the link doesn't apply to the app. Democracy is flexible and labor. Heller. And 24. Labor full of analogies to democracy. Democracy not unitary and industrial democracy. Need not look like political democracy. The question of rights of norms from the political sphere to translate to labor. C. Democracy is good. Irizarry. 25. Given the each phase of democracy is imperative to recommit of organizing and boycotting elections alignment with the norms of planning participation of fosters. After they are making equitable outcomes harder, the inclusivity is undermined by policies that limiting accountability crisis impose threats of signaling decay, making justice on the table. This could access to catalyst for authoritarians and Nations relies on resilience and engaging governments are essential for responding equity. Society acts as a watchdog. Mark the card at watchdog. Williams, no civil service link. It's about police and urban planners. Those are state and federal employees, not federal workers. Or those are state and local employees, not federal workers. None of their evidence assumes federal workers, which are good. The bureaucracy specifically good. Nichols and Brown. 24. Bureaucrats have shown willingness to connect with the movements of the social justice society, getting legitimacy requires a state that is autonomous and hierarchy. And the hierarchical hierarchy breeds and grievances. Autonomy provides motive means to resist networks. Our building blocks for oppositional identity and actions for relation to transform individuals into collective institutional shifting power presents opportunity to transform to change politicization, the process of which active mobilization barracks becomes a field of struggle. The civil service is also inevitable. Trump is replacing or forcing people to cower in the status quo, so their impacts are inevitable. Legal focus is good. A, exportability, only affording an affirmative defense on what the civil service should do is key to solve. That's Mason and the Hewer evidence that was explained above. B, personalism orienting our politics around individual people makes it easier for violence outside of debate to occur because it narrowly orients politics around the self rather than anti-Trumpism, which forgoes necessary coalitions. The alternative fails, A, it's not material and has no way of resolving the structures it identifies as problematic. If it's a pig, it's a voting issue for classification. B, Sorrentino says that labor without race analysis fails, not that labor always so, which means the permutation solves. Yeah. No extinction link. A, there's no drive to destroy black being Soinova. I'm talking about inability to objectify the findings has been unacceptable. Validity of cycle remains inadequate. How does one practically work with untestable phenomena? Satisfies a repression not to be universal. Competing about this complete placebo effect that the recurrence and observable factors of the causal influence has the most significant problem by right. It does not solve a fundamental scientific validity. And ontology answers the rest of that. Our model of debate is not anti-black. A, our authors are criticizing specific racist deployments of their arguments. Of these arguments, we should not have to defend those other people in their service and their voting. Neg does any thing to solve. Fiat is predictable. The word should in the resolution needs space about hypothetical desirability. It's not policing. Black insurgent argumentation is welcome under our interpretation framework. Is just judge and is just construction. That's just the way the case. Traber is wrong about fiat. They conclude F. Traber 18. I don't think the fiat is the argument to think about critical affirmative. I'm sympathetic about one aspect. Insists on those debaters that fiat policies and way to conceptualize policies a process of political change. Debaters ask for fiat. Imagine a policy going through the legislature, federal legislation, Senate, and critiques me. I should think about how critical the debaters express theory. The neg can question the absent mechanism, politics, and resource trade-off thesis proves that we do debate about process, and that the neg is free to challenge our understanding of normal means and our results. Because it includes a K.
Can I get a mark doc? I feel like your cards are basket.
Yeah.
I only marked one card.
I don't think you read this Alexander card.
I didn't read like all of them, but
Okay, well, that's why I need a mark doc for.
Oh.
like you want me to delete like skipped cards?
Yes.
Okay.
So millions of them.
Yeah.
We're sending it now. It's like hard to figure out which one's me. That, yeah, there's the one you marked.
Yeah, but watch dog. Oops.
We can do cross while we do this if you want. Or,
I'll wait.
okay.
I'm not doing cross.
Okay. I'm sending it now.
We're good.
I do not have it.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't said yet. Okay, put me down, then I'll let you know. You updated?
What?
You updated?
I did not save.
I don't think it did.
Should
This Alexander card's still in it.
Oh.
I think there's a couple
Is that the
of
only
cards
one?
in the critiques that are still in there.
Which is the Alexander card?
I'm gonna procedural.
Procedural, and then there's a kind of like, I may be wrong.
That's deleted from the docket. Did you?
The doc I just downloaded still has it.
I think maybe I just like didn't send the saved one.
I don't think you sent the save
Oh, you're right. That's my fault.
You're good.
Okay, this one's saved 947, so that should be good.
Cool. We're good.
I'm still not it.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Okay, just let me down. Alright. I'll start. Theoretical research team is picks.
PerfCon, and if you do stuff like picks
Stuff.
or
Like
if
yeah,
your
we all-
alt is like international, whatever.
Where did Tracy say that? Tracy didn't say that.
Yeah,
Um,
I never
Tracy did not say
no,
that.
wait. I swear I said it on.
Tracy did not say that. I promise to God that Tracy did not
I
say
just
that.
heard
You said
Picks and
pigs and
PerfCon.
PerfCon. You did
That's all
not
I
say
heard.
fiat and alts.
Oh, I guess it did.
Yeah,
say
you said
fiat,
that.
sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So pigs and PerfCon.
Pick PerfCon.
Okay, cool. Go.
Okay. You said tokenization is bad, right?
Yep.
Alright, so then why
No,
token?
no.
I don't know
You
what
gotta
to
do
do with
that.
that.
You gotta do that. Keep
What do
going.
we token?
It links
Nothing.
equally to us.
Keep going.
You
You
have
have
to
to
You know
do
what?
question.
It's fine.
Ask
I
another
guess I'll
question.
just go
Ask another
then.
question.
Then I
If
guess
anything,
what
it's
about
like, you know how
We
have
have
about-
hey, we're asking another question, man. Let's
yeah?
just keep
What
pushing
about
back.
the plan text says that it rehires federal workers or brings them back?
So we don't need to win that. Our Schumacher evidence says that the vast majority of workers have not left their jobs, but they
Wait,
are.
how many have not left their
So
jobs?
it says like 80 or 85% of workers are still in their jobs, but the vast majority of them are too afraid to speak up to Trump because they don't have their union.
Too afraid to. Where does the line say that?
It's like the second line. It's like most workers are cowering. I think is
I
like
can read it
the
from
bottom
what I
of
see,
the
hold on.
Schumacher card. I don't have the
Okay,
links.
that's fine. But I guess then
The
like
majority of employees are sticking, many who remain are keeping their heads down, they're staying, Trump still employs 2.2 million, the quit
And
rate
then-
is holding.
Yeah, at the bottom it says again like the people are being retaliated
Yeah, it
against.
says that they
Okay.
quote lean on protections to shield the service.
that is fine.
Yeah.
What do we see evidence says that delays wouldn't dump unions like litigation and costs?
Well, so two things.
so-
Yeah, the plan restores collective bargaining agreements, which means the only thing that would be delayed, I guess, hypothetically, would be like eventually down the line the process of negotiating a new one. But again, the plan restores the initial one.
Well, like yeah, like that makes sense. Like you restore it, but you still have to go through the courts.
No,
so
no,
like
so-
obviously litigation and costs would still be an issue for unions that
Well,
do collective bargaining.
fiat is pretty speedy, but what happened was
Wait, what is speedy? Like how do you just fiat
Well,
the courts?
the plan's ruling is obviously immediate, but the Supreme Court rules immediately that Trump's executive orders were
Importantly-
illegal. The second part of this is also like unions have the ability to litigate these things and have pretty successful
Exactly. Like
paths.
I'm asking about litigation.
Yeah.
So importantly, they don't need to litigate anything because the Trump executive order got rid of it canceled specific CBA. So by striking down the executive order,
Yeah.
all of those CBAs come back on the books
Yeah.
instantly.
It's,
They're
it's
all
not
binding.
that they have to renegotiate the whole terms and contracts of their employment. These have already been negotiated. They were negotiated under Biden. We just restore those.
And
Those
then
contracts.
also like we can.
Yeah, but it's like when people are collectively bargaining like against like Trump doing bad things like to Venezuela or doing wars, like obviously that process.
Well,
So-
the point is that the contracts actually enshrine protections against
Also,
those things. The most
delays-
recent EPA CBA enshrined protections for scientific integrity in the face of Trump 1. The FEMA one did the exact same
Also,
thing.
delays in that context are probably good because the longer Trump is stuck in litigation, he can't do stuff, right? Because he would be stuck
Yeah,
with an
Wait,
injunction all the time.
why is delays good? Why is delays good for Trump? What did that
Because
mean?
Because the
if
courts
you're-
are joined, like
Yeah.
the courts have been enjoining like a lot of stuff he's been doing. District courts have been like meaningfully slowing down a huge portion of Trump's agenda. Obviously not perfectly, but they have like enjoined a lot of important policies.
No prep. I'm gonna send a couple cards.
Cool.
What's this round 5? the critique and then the procedure if I have time.
Okay. Is framework going to be in a different speech, so I should make a different flow template?
No, it'll be in this.
Oh, but okay. Switching it up, man. It's been a while.
Yeah.
No more 1 in our interps bad. I miss the days.
Oh, I know you do, man. I know you do.
It's in a constructive now, man. I don't know what to do about that.
You know, we're switching it. Switching it up.
Okay, I have the cards. Are the cards on the procedure or are they?
They're on the procedure, yeah.
Okay, sure. But it's K first.
Yes.
Sick. Okay.
Give me like 2 seconds for this doc to open. Okay, I'm good.
Alright. Easy. Cool. Couldn't have a lot of time to go through the procedure because we're taking the critique, conceded rotation, and test competition. I'm not going for the critique, but we'll answer our offense here. 1, no substance or cross application. You will hold the line. I'll make this very clear. Links turn about the plan do not apply to the procedure or arguments. We're not about the material invitation of the plan, but rather it's about the way that everyone has engaged with Black History Month in this space. We mean that them saying vote app is a good idea is not responsive because it's not a celebration of Black History Month because the plan does not materially happen when you vote app. Meaning the permutation is a disingenuous attempt to cash in on Black History Month when it's presented as them to waive or prove the way she is literally zero mention of Black workers in the one. She does not acknowledge the month of February. Does not give attempts to help Black people, rather than attempt to focus on the bureaucracy, which proves that it does not come to help save Black people in status quo. It does not happen when you vote after EC. It proves that every attempt for the 1 year and 2 year to make an argument about the plan is good for Black people or fiat is good for Black people is bad because they have not made arguments for why those Black people profit from every winning in this debate or why they benefit from the app. Mean that you should hold the line of cross application because every has ran out of constructive. The mean should strike new arguments on your flow because they had their chance and I fucking airball. Now framework will be on procedural. I will clean up picks here. The alternative was not a pick. Crossing definitely checks. We did not do any of the alternative repeats. It's not solved. The procedural. Full negative to endorse the best speech act that honors Black History Month. We place the burden on the affirmative, and then Tweezy has absolutely airballed it. Now, the K and this is not a double turn or perform the contradiction. We have not said that labor policy as a whole anti-Black rather than the state co-opts Black people's history, labor, and work to turn civil servant into anti-Black racism. Which means we can agree that Black labor is good, but the way that Emory has engaged with anti-Black labor in this space is bad. We prove that Emory has put words in our mouth. You should reject the team for it. It's a form of racialized provision that enables white people to co-opt Black people for white gain. I hate Trump co-opting MLK's equality space and DI racism because it's not giving equality and everyone proves you should reject them. Now, framework. Our interpretation of Black History Month about to go to see that best honors Black History Month through argumentative and speech act. The first argument that resolution says should, / non. Resolution theory is bad. 1, our interpretation is severely solved majority of their offense since we're very clear that the procedure only lasts for the month of February. It proves that it's not a class debate as a whole. There's no real impact to their interpretation, but also we're impacting the idea that we should fiat policy. It proves that they cannot just win should because our argument is that the critiques of fiat are predictable. I.e., if we are winning a claim that you're saying that should, it does imply some sort of predictability, that the negative definitely gets to critique the idea that the USB should do something, or it should be able to critique the content of fiat itself and prove that it definitely is often. They say pragmatism, nothing about voting affirmative and pragmatic because they agree to crossing, and nothing about voting affirmative actually pass the policy. Prove that they link back and prove they're less pragmatic than we are because we focus on the people in the room and the people we can build community with, as opposed to them just reading a bunch of cards about random Black people that they do not have any relationship with or help. The next argument is that labor movements are good, so political hope is good, non-responsible because we are really a critique of fiat and the procedure definitely something better. They say Mason is civil service fiat is good. This is terminally done by the crossing moment when we acted. There have been obviously a million different policies that have been proposed in debate, and they can only name a singular one that's actually been passed. Proves that nothing about debating about civil servants or the plan itself actually passes it. Proves you should presume that there's a 99.9999% chance of the plan not passing a status quo. If the only debate over a molecule solved, they say individuals and stop coalition building. Whoops, we're not individualism because we named about maybe about 30 people in the way. See that it's not just individualism, about community building, but Emory has not mentioned any of those people in the 1 and C1. While we can acknowledge that their coach said that it may be a good idea to write this out, there's no intrinsic reason why debating it or fiating is good, which means you'll hold the line. This reason did not honor any other Black names besides their one coach. We've honored their Black coach. They've honored 0 other people we've meant to prove that they do not get a permutation because it proves they have not engaged in Black history properly. They say we should not have to defend racist people. Don't know what his argument is. I'll distract off your flow. I get new answer to the tweet. They say affirmative is judge instruction. I will do a larger layer. They say fiat is critical. We need to affirm our lives. Structure resistance and stuff. Blah blah. They say we mean they do not violate. They do not mention any Black labor movements. Do not center Black scholarship and only fundamental their lives into AC in order to be that to prove they care more about competitive incentives rather than Black scholarship proving violation. They command F Black in the OAC and does not come up once. They have not met their burden. 2C clarification not solved because it took 9 judges that both have Black community must win. People like George, William, Adam, Greg, Floyd, Trebek, Gerby, and all our other Black Fed workers in OAC, they refuse to mention only proves they co-opt their suffering for to win the debate. Denny smoked his own link term when he said in cross-sex about voting affirm the enable the plan to happen to prove that the app's not translating to win for them, rather co-option. It's not just about the relation to Black people and labor history, but also about the relation to Black scholarship in debate, i.e. from Elijah Smith to Asia Butler to Georgia Russi to Kansas Sierra. Black scholarship has always been devalued by Emory's model of debate, i.e. we should only focus on the hypothetical implementation of the plan. It's always been a racist dogma to justify devaluing Black argumentation in debate. But this keeps our weight argument proven by the 2AC starting off with that sentence. Even if your ballot cannot solve this reason, for I should reject Emory's apathy in this space because they're mad at everyone at distance. They're from the inherent out here. I will do judge instructions. 1. Hold the line. The 2AC had 10 arguments. If there's a new one that's cross-applied or something that's a winner makes, strike it off your flow because it creates late-breaking debates and block your idea predicate off 2AC mistakes. Third rejoinder. If this proves the 1C's desirability, if the 1C has again anti-Black racist practices, labor policy absolutely toothless. What's the example of the smiling card? They say that the ballot cannot solve, voting affirmative cannot enact the plan, with double terms on your own arguments. It proves that you should deflate the power of the ballot for Emory, but you should increase the power of the ballot for ours because we are winning that voting negative can definitely send a signal that the 1C is not invested in any like Black history month and it proved to mean that the ballot solves an epistemic rupture of Black healing in this space, which clearly cannot input the plan, but prove our scholarship is only tangible impact your ballot can solve. No cross-application larger than above. Okay, they say Trevor is definitely obviously not true. Trevor says that fiat legal policies create more skill to prove that we highly absolutely just boom, but you should read the rest of the card. That will definitely for sure include negative. They say disad and counterplay detailing. It proves maybe that we can understand like trade-offs and shit, but it does not teach you how to draft legislation. It does not teach you how to get that policy to the courthouse. But to prove by all the examples we gave about how they're building the policy that have been hypothetically proposed but never happened. They say their disads outweigh the wrong. One, erasure disad, the impact can tie now. Trump is using his presidency, the ban DEI, many books that affirm Black scholarship, and then assert birthright citizenship, etc. It means that we must prioritize scholarship that challenges anti-racist scholarship. Nothing about saying we should imagine a world where we're going to have rights is possible, but it's rather futile since fiat is illusory. But we can't debate to honor Black history much because educational spaces like debate are key, but policy solutions are not because those can be solved by alternate forms like legal internships and taking LSAT demon. Okay, policy disad here. The Smiley. The one you see focus on legal solutions and collective bargaining is bad. Smiley says must look beyond legal framework in order to build community power because the thing about restoring democracy spills into debate or debate as a community, which means that the only fun to buy and actively drain the energy for Black people that can actively engage the community instead of the courtroom, which is the Ramsey evidence. PRL disad, the 2AC violated and self-reported when all their arguments on the critique or procedure, i.e. the fairness paradox, things like the way the app, etc. are all examples about how they would rather engage in the same old board stale types of debate that actually disavow Black scholarship. And said Dearsby and Kelsey, they said that when teams like Emory actually disavow Black radicalism by using these tactics, they give an example of Devon and Dick Murray acting Georgetown. When did the first life say the result of the affirmative? They have not act because they don't have interest in the app, but actually they have acted towards double speak for people who are not in the room, role play as policymakers in order to co-opt the suffering of displaced populations. Okay, the no voting negative solved, celebration that benefit, honoring Black History Month solved. You should reject any new 2AC arguments on your flow that try to honor Black History Month, especially in an event where they have only done it for competitive incentives, which prove that they have not genuinely honored those people we are communicating with, but we definitely have by honoring the people who are not only outside the space but in the space. Also, the norming. Once teams lose, teams start figuring out ways to incorporate conversation Black History Month into their advocacy statements, neg arguments, and 1C constructive proofs that we solve. Okay, fairness. Reject the call for fairness during Black History Month to win this race. This sort of act by celebrity results race, even if for 28 days on Jackson. 20 white parents felt Black History Month refers to them as Black American Living State perpetual terror, racial terror, Black history. Give us need to work with Black Americans already done while working on the others not. We see doctors being honored. They can go copy the Black Americans, he's safe in this mission, represent that aspiration, doctor. Black American King, white wants anti-Black historical telling the King, told to Black King, Black American have a much before reparation, but takes back into the beginning. The often race, even just for 28 days. Okay, the deputy is that. Extend Dearsby and Kelsey. They definitely are policing and linked to our offense. Using the ballot to enforce norms and procedures of procedure forensic against Black critical debaters to form procedure policing and use the term and to stop Black insurgent argumentation by saying we violate a fairness violation due racial revisionism. Drop that outweighs it flips access because making a space that's not Black inclusive means that Black debaters do not want to come to debate, which makes debate more racist and turns debaters into police who use laws, rules, norms, etc. Defense. 1. There's no fairness paradox. We're not our law. Rely on judges to evaluate debates equally because we know judges are biased, i.e. judges putting their paradigm. I'm a hard self for the critique. And that weird that shit that one judge did in the round where he put on debate docs that he would never vote for critiques because he thinks procedural fairness is a prior good, which proves that we not all rely on judges to evaluate fairness equally. Not going to read Tam and Smiley card because we're relying on indict and we think that we are better for them. Also, there's no impact. Debate is not classing you for interpretation. Fairness is subjective and impossible to verify how much fairness is lost. And nobody leaves debate when they lose to our model, which proves that there's no impact to fairness. Only our model can speak on fairness because our model debate is enforced for tournament under February. Do not hold an interpretation anything else because it's outside the text writing because this debate is about got competing interns. Okay, I'm gonna do the line by line and have Daniel read my class walk later. 1, the line by line, say ballot pick. Our reason to reject the team, they say you can vote negative while affirmative while acknowledging Black History Month. They said pick for a voting issue, which proves it's an RVI. Oops, you fucked up and lost the debate because you said the pick argument and it said picks are a voting issue. You should punish Emory for it because the 2AC and the 1AR will obviously not align, and you should strike any argument off their flow because the 1AR will be straight up bullshitting. You should hold the line because it's a procedure. They said it was fiat for Louis, obviously not true. I did, but they say Smiley's good for CBR. Smiley said the solution to bad because they travel with community building. The 2AC doesn't really call for the African community groups. They'll be new. They say passivity. This side is not symbolism. Your war symbolism because you said fiat and nothing about fiat creates action, but also drop the history and Kelsey evidence that says it is. Okay, the next argument is that arbitrary did above. They say it makes it worth accidents and spamming A-spec. They obviously spam A-spec. I will check their doc. If they read A-spec, you should drop them. They said A-spec's bad. You have to finish a lot of shit, I can't lie. I'm good.
You said no cross applications,
Yeah.
and then you cross applied the DSRB and Kelsey evidence to explain offense.
We said you don't get cross application.
Why do you get cross?
Because I have a constructive left and you don't.
But you said that cross applications cause late breaking debates. What's the distinction between the
Because I have because the 2C is a constructive.
Yeah, but you like
You don't have you ran out.
you said late breaking debates are bad. What's the distinction between
because it's a constructive.
You said that the ballot signals that, or us losing signals to everyone that we are not invested in Black scholarship, which encourages communities to proceed,
Yeah.
whatever. Tabroom just says who won or lost. How do people perceive
Well,
the
that's
reason
not
we lost?
necessarily true. We beat in Georgetown once the time when they did racist shit and they changed their whole strategy up. So we think that's futile. And
So-
obviously people don't just see results. Like obviously people looked at that one debate docs email, they were like, oh shit, look what happened in this debate. It wasn't just a win.
I've gotten like 1,000 debate docs chains because there's a bunch of different rounds in this tournament. Why do people perceive this debate?
Well, because we're one of the best teams in the circuit. People are obviously gonna look at our debate and see what happens.
Well, there's other debates between good teams.
That's
like
true,
Kansas
but it
State,
doesn't disprove the idea that people will look at our debate. Also, it's on YouTube. Like what?
Yeah, and
People watch.
And Loss has uploaded like 10 YouTube videos.
But okay, just because they upload a lot of videos, does not mean people won't watch the videos.
You've said that unions can be good so long as they rely on like extra legal forms of building power, correct?
No. We've said that collective bargaining should be done through community power. We don't think. Well,
Sure.
like we are a critique of legal suits.
I understand that.
Who are they bargaining with then if it's done through community power?
Bargaining with themselves, community power. To
So
build.
how do you bargain with yourself?
Or not yours, with themselves. Sorry.
How do you bargain with like
By engaging community building, that's what the Smiley evidence
Well,
said.
like
Who are they bargaining
It's
with?
like black communities
Yeah,
figuring
but
out
who are
ways
you
to restore your
negotiating
own labor
how is that collective bargaining?
because it collectively bargains amongst the community to find different solutions to solve things like black labor and anti-black labor.
Okay, you said that fiat is bad because we can't actualize the plan.
That's not the only reason.
Well, I understand that.
Okay,
But so I'm asking about like how does your model of debate or what you've done in this debate help you actualize like collective bargaining within communities outside of
Because we think, one, we focus on a performance of community building, i.e. us reading the names that we've read is a sense of community building by honoring the black people who are not just outside the debate, but inside the debate. You've refused to acknowledge that. 2AC did not say any of those words. We deal with the permutation and you link very hard to the procedure.
But I understand you're oriented toward
Yes.
a practice of community building,
Yeah.
but what in this debate has
Because it recognizes the idea that there is a shared community of people who have engaged in forced labor, whether it is debate or outside the spaces, and it reconciles those things by finding ways in the community to find legal solutions. Fiat does not do that because it imagines policies that us as debaters and judges do not have access to actualize.
well, the fiat recognizes that the plan is a good idea. If you've said that it's
Well,
okay
no,
to
the way
not
you have, because under interpretation is consequentialist, right? I.e., we must determine the plan's a good idea through, like this as a counter plan. Our argument is that just because you win like a straight turn technically does not symbol that the plan is good in real life. Like people can read like First Strike China and win it. Doesn't mean that First Strike China is a good idea.
Then why
Wait,
does
wait,
why
wait,
does that
people
mean
read-
plus a signal?
People
thing
read
under
First Strike China.
Well, no,
and
this is
that's
different
signify
because
it's
your
good
shit is
idea.
about imaginaries, ours is about what happens in the debate, which we
Wait,
think
Curtis,
is
Curtis, people read
Are you
First
taking
Strike
prep?
China. No, we're good. We'll just
Okay,
add
just
same
make
line
sure.
or whatever.
You're fine. I said no, you are.
I'm getting the cards. I will send them in a second.
You can send analytics if you want.
What? What's that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's off dome, so no worries.
Yeah, it is up. It's always up the dome.
Curtis, you want to guess what LS2NC was?
What was it?
It was the Cap K. Tricky. You see, were you in that? Were you on?
No.
Which one were you?
Connor and Henry.
Oh shit, they're neck for Georgetown, right?
Yeah, I mean like
What are they saying?
I have no fucking clue. I haven't done like any policy work all year because like I like mainly coach Nargis and Kate.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just like I just think every app is anti-black. No, not to.
Hold on.
Not to be like because I had to like judge a competition practice debate and I was like
Oh.
I was like man I don't know.
Bro, I remember our team debated Marquise and Kate, I think in Kentucky, and the kid comes up to me, our kid, he's like, bro, 2EC only spent 5 seconds on hedge dis ad. I feel amazing. I was like,
I'm gonna take a minute prep.
okay. I was like, you sure? Like, what? He's like, well, it said no link. I was like, okay, that seems like a good point by half, man. Like, one in heart is.
Wow.
Sorry, yellow pepper, right?
Yeah.
That was a minute. Okay, so you're 9.
Yeah.
Is the dot changed?
Did I send that?
No.
out? Oh no, wait, I did send it.
You
out.
sent it, yeah, you're good.
Just go straight down.
Yeah, Reese and Caitlin broke a new performance. So
Are y'all laughing?
Slay.
Neg.
Against who you got?
Wow.
That's a great question. Oh, McAllister.
Oh, shit,
yeah.
yeah.
But we're playing Big Frida now, so yeah.
Who's judging?
Taylor, bro.
Oh,
Oh,
McAllister.
yeah,
They don't have a
that's-
chance.
Yeah.
They don't have a chance.
Question mark?
They don't have a chance, man.
McAllister perhaps question mark?
Hydrogen bomb versus coffee baking, bro. It's
Yeah.
like,
Bro, who's doing their sheet, man?
Bo.
Yeah, okay,
Oh,
you know
that
what?
makes- that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Two-
Yeah,
yeah.
Cujo and Bo, I guess, are.
Yeah.
But they're still reading, like, they read what, like pro-social marketing versus us? Like.
They're reading some like woke ass app or whatever.
Oh, yeah, they have, yeah,
like,
their
I'm
AppDK
sure.
is nutty. They have, like crazy, like.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure. But, like,
Yeah, no. Okay, Daniel, what's the order?
So it'll be the K, and then I guess for the purposes of how to float the 2AC, it'll just be 1, 2.
So
The K?
Procedural.
Oh, the procedural.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Procedural
yeah.
1, 2.
Procedural, and is it just starting where you
Procedural.
like
Yes.
on the framework stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
that, okay.
It'll
What's
just be
like
on
the
the
line
read
line?
Brinkley. It'll just be
The
on
line
read
by line,
Brinkley
okay.
card.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. The read Brinkley card is where I'm starting, right?
No, I lied. Hold on.
Okay.
Actually, look, no, I already did Clash. I forgot. Okay, you can start here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. You're pretty good.
Yeah, we're good.
Alright, cool. Hands off black people, this ad Emory drives to advocate for the permanence of former political blackface that reifies parasitic attachment of black people through non-values. A new link to the procedural that remolding a black intellectual thought is a rhetorical move to fundamentalize black people's work and taking the value of voting negative ways to say white supremacy crimes. And 2018, the underlying drive to position on black people like that's like if I read America's behavior, but it replicates a parasitic relation that is estimated was the top point left of every compromise is the ultimate form of the human appearance of discourse of power. Rely heavily upon the operator as a form of parasitic assumption of black people all move most of themselves new abolitions of the who they shall be political blackface like this takes whatever and shape not black people to sign is written serving the ends of non-black political movements, not black people benefit the perpetual weight and like this rhetorical movements look at suffering and struggles and it's on behalf of the group and ultimately runs to conservative black for freedom and let justice as go the universalization struggle is like makes everyone simultaneously serving and apparently freedom except for black people. Now they said we discussed with our black coach, we have honored and the 2NC, but they have not honored the people that we have mentioned. They said Schedule F is bad, nothing about voting F solves this, and they said embodiment is good, or Ike's uncle is a lawyer. It proves that I can just go with his the lawyer uncle, no reason why fiat is key. They said that outing dishonor or interpretation doesn't require outing personal experiences, but arguments and attachments to methods in favor of Black History Month. That is, racial fear mongering is a reason to reject the team, which means there's no link to the outing dissent. 1. Once SCO solves courts checks since federal workers are suing them now, they have no evidence that courts don't work for them, especially which means that they can't solve too late. Federal workers are in the private sector now, and they still are seeking jobs and don't want to work for Trump since they hate his guts, don't do the work for them. They have no cards, which means vote tech on presumption. Loyalism turned 150,000, and federal workers sign buyouts and then many more, which means that they've been fired and won't work for Trump. So means that new people that go in will just bend the knee for Trump. Now they said federal workers come back. That's wrong. Servants are seeking other jobs now. Zimbabwe, 25 Trump, president with termination notices, civil servants with large layoffs. Many seek the roles of private sector, non-profit sector, so the academy is saying local governments are running. If employees may reconsider their own career, if the Fed is increasingly unsustainable, all the employers and committee aggressively for the best of these displaced professionals. New rehiring process is terrible. Workers want to leave even after being rehired. Quinn, number 25, Alex had an after hours email saying he had been fired for performance reasons like other friends who were fired and rehired. We should receive their guidance about benefits. We do return. He didn't have a good access to for more than a week. He's applying now for other jobs. Has been exciting now. I just want to leave 3 loyalty job Kritzikos and Zylan 25 under Trump interviews describe politicization loyalty to the presidency. Apartheid over agency don't know civil service must survive the hashtag as you learn for political pressure Trump officials violated. Yeah, loyalty was not out of the question. Would safety officer EPA whenever you raise a question you were leaking loyalty was difficult to reconcile with missions interviews. They said they were experiencing more the standards of all values and expectations not aligning called loyalty Trump and copies between the directives and complying with ethical obligations. Fed workers are backed at worst. Courts constrain Trump so SCO checks AFGE. The 25 federal judge ordered Trump to handle the high terminations of federal employees who include violation of Congress Senate and law Trump prohibits federal agencies carrying out the reduction of wars of the order of City Administration called RFS, RIS, and DOE and State Department and CBRs are back to Trump EOs check AFG needs on the 25 the US Hungary legislation to resort collective bargaining rights more than a million federal employees voted to approve the WA which presented executive order Trump issued that ban collective bargaining. Now they said the Federalist PerfCon stuff no more. Why that's uniquely bad reading for them, but we have not read it in a bad way. We have just said forever wars are not infinite or literally forever and end quickly and soon, which isn't advocating for anti-black institutions, which means cross-sex checks. If this becomes about people reject them for endorsing Congress, those people support ICE or a bunch of pedophiles, which is way worse and was above. Now they said sever reps doesn't justify sever reps because we have 6 hours and we have read our evidence, so means no PerfCon and does not justify their fairness claims. Now they said rogue nuclear use is inevitable. Drop Congress will just approve wars against countries in Africa and Gaza and other Latin countries, which means Congress cannot track no impact because our evidence says forever wars aren't forever. They eventually de-escalate, and Ukraine, Iraq, and Afghanistan all proved, which are all conceded. Consequentialism rejected. That was a 2 and C. They said even if ethics are bad, reject a team that justifies voting for Emory even if millions of black people die, which is way worse and justifies aligning yourself with white supremacy and genocide. Cross-apply that as a reason why their framework of consequentialism does not meet the procedural or is good for Black History Month. They said lower courts does not dump. Litigation proves and would it be worse for Trump since unions would just lose money until their case is fizzled out, until Trump wins. Selection bias, not selection bias. It's an indent of how the plan works out. Now they said Fiat's test case. The plan isn't a test case. The text does not say that SCOTUS reviews the plan and a 6-3 Republican majority will strike the test case down since they have no evidence saying SCOTUS likes collective bargaining, which means you can vote negative on presumption. PerfCon is wrong, did above, plan text unfair, wrong. It's not unfair, dropped af condo, which means that specifying text distats case terms, which means that they're worse. Now, it's also a reason to reject the team. They said Congress is more level-headed and they aren't. They fund Israel, ICE, and reject the team for saying that a bunch of white supremacists are level-headed that justifies whitewashing anti-black violence is a new link to the procedural. They said the Venezuela proves, they checked that proves that the status quo solves and there's no inherently a reason to vote af since Congress will literally already check, which means that the 2AC, the first advantage is already decked. Now go to 2. Now, court, circumvention. 1, a constitutional conservatism. People on SCOTUS are strict originalists and abide by the Constitution, which was above. That means that they won't obviously vote in the AF's favor inside of the courts and test cases. I already did the stuff above. Play with neoliberal reform is bad and impact turn on the K. Buyouts, federal workers took buyouts out there, and Rosen 25, 450,000 federal employees, and take buyouts out by the Trump system, federal workers employees, and take buyouts of the civilian workers, not included, several were fired out in other programs. That means federal workers that come into the plan will be Trump hacks and turns their case. Their evidence is also not about civil servants being scared or having protections now. It's about Trump just hiring people, which means new federal workers will be Trump hacks. We read 1AC paragraph in yellow, 1AC shoemaker 25, while 200,000 federal workers have left the government, and Trump still employs 2.2 million servants. Go back to the procedural perm, do both the procedures, wedding issue, perms are not advocacies, which means they're about enables absolute perm, aspect, opportunity, condo, disclosure shells, which means they ruin unpredictable debates, also no perm, they didn't honor Black History Month, and the 1AC, which is all cost of the fabric interpretation, is a voting issue, and non-risk theories, good checks, back against racist lines and debate their interpretation mirrors PRL logic, it also doesn't harm minority debaters, it empowers minority debaters, we don't justify ABC spec, they do, which was above. Now, the merit hiring stuff, OPM are hawks and will ensure that fed workers have to be pro-Trump free bid, the 25 LPM incorporating things for Trump administration, academy performance and management, and years of presidents, environmental training, so flag Trump, and reshaping federal workers so they understand the how the accountable to use part of performance review. OPM is focused on efficiency, accountability, emotional, and Senator President Trump, the president's executive orders, and other executive priorities, these programs reinforce every federal leader's words to a poll.
Okay. We have 9:30. We're gonna start that. Yeah, okay. being sent.
How much?
418. Oh, 410.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, the conceit a little. But there's the little line here right there. Okay. Card was sent. Cool.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, once I get it.
Case procedural. Like, can I hear?
Executive power bureaucracy.
Yeah. Pretty much straight down.
I'm gonna put this
In a doc. Yeah, no worries. I can also send it in a doc.
I already have it. It's fine.
Sure. Oh fuck. You see, I forgot this is in blue. I can.
Oh man, it's a clash debate. I don't know
Oh
the
fuck!
cards.
I forgot my cards were in green.
I can read.
Wait, I thought green was chill.
Oh, you said green. Oh, it's green. Okay. Is it blue? You can't fuck with. Is that the?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's the case is just straight down everyone.
One second.
Only time I clicked was because Lorelai handed me a blue card.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you-
like I don't know what this says.
I thought you like stopped the debate or.
No, I was just like, I said I'm gonna clip this, so blue highlighted.
Just like random fragments of the audio line.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna read some things, but
Like Trump, bad
Yeah.
politics, office.
Laura was like, why did you do that? And I was like, I'm colorblind. She's like, why haven't you told me that? I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
Wait,
good?
my bad. You said case.
Case procedural. Yeah, I didn't know the process, but like,
Yeah.
I'll flag him. Cool.
I'm good.
Cool. Is he good?
Yeah.
Bet. I have no idea what solvency defense is doing here. They have no offense, so it's trying to affirmate any risk of solvency. The procedural brackets the case. There's nothing to compare it to, nor no links to weigh it against. This high school doesn't solve the Supreme Court overturned lower court injunctions. The shadow docket CBAs are not on the books now. Group 2 late firings and buyouts. Most workers are staying and have equipment they need. Unions have the confidence to speak up that Schumacher, their recut is after just said that Trump has not fired a lot of workers, which is what the plan is about. We conceded that workers hate him, no takebacks, and answers the loyalism turn because the workforce not follows orders. Turn proper, wrong, 150K buyouts is dropped in the bucket. There are 2 million total federal workers. That's our Schumacher card. Loyalty trap is absolvency. Unions ensure that protections against mobilization are upheld. That's the federal evidence. To the first AFGE card is about shutdown layoffs, not federal unions, doesn't apply to the plan. The second card is a bill passed in the House, it will die in the Senate and get vetoed. Yes, PERFCON, we can several reps prove that they lose under their own frameworks. They defended interventions and said our Afghanistan and Iraq were not that bad. They're defending the federal society, which is anti-black. You're not worse. 20 seats not give rights to ICE. And our defense of Congress is contingent, not an overall endorsement. Yes, severance because of premeditation. They knew it was bad and still did it. Rogue nuclear use is not inevitable. Triple not have authority post-plan because the unitary executive will solve the arguments above. Consequential is not a voting issue. They don't have a DA, so millions of people, black people don't die if you vote after. Dropped our impacts, millions of black people do die if you vote neg. Any other metric links worse because it evaluates some lives over others. Yes, test case, they cannot strike down what is written in the plan text, and our Perez evidence indicates that would strike down Trump's recent executive orders, which are being challenged to in court right now. No condo, it's logical because of solvency. Applicant explains the gas mechanism, which is better for DA grounds. Non-res theory and offense on the procedural takes out any other voting issue. Worst case, reject the argument. Now the team in the South is not solved. You can ignore great power war resolutions now. They double dropped all the terminal impacts. Unlinked Trump causes mass structure violence against every minority group and guarantees world governance that cause extinction from war, the environment, and pandemics. This blog contradiction and Schulman makes it still try to act. Now, procedural. Framework controls how you evaluate link arguments. Weigh the case. Vote F is a good idea if it is. Vote F it's a good idea is responsive because the block dropped clash. They've conceded that predictable back and forth argument interaction causes the skills necessary to actualize the alt, which is a benefit to our interpretation that they cannot access. The 2NC said that the 1NR was going to answer the argument. Then the 1NR declined to answer this argument. There is no offense against it in the 2NC, nor no defense to this impact. This is completely external to all of their offense. You might think that the 2NR might have some reasonable cross applications they can make. Unfortunately, the 2NC instructed you that you are not allowed to cross-apply arguments and rebuttals. We will happily concede that premise means they cannot cross-apply any of the offense on any other parts of framework to answer this argument. This is a clean app victory win condition that turns all of their offense because they've conceded that engagement in argumentative interaction via the predictable stasis point of the resolution enables refinement and testing that externalizes all of their offense by externalizing education better. So it's a straight turn to every piece of offense they have. It's external to our win conditions under fairness. It means that we just win the debate. Now, we meet their interpretation otherwise. So in we meet their interpretation which no links all their offense and plainly justifies perm do both. They've said the debate is about our performance and we have from 1AC cross-ex consistently acknowledged the direct correlative benefit that the 1AC has and did acknowledge benefit to black workers. I'm 99% sure the only argument argument that said to answer the 2EC piece of evidence, which is fantastic, and the argument that the advocacy of the plan is good for black people because the Schedule F is the largest attack on the black middle class in history, and the ballot does not pass the plan. This is woefully insufficient because they've mishandled the mechanics of our Mason evidence. Go back and read the card from the 1EC. It is fantastic. Mason says that normative advocacy for federal workers is the only way to sustain the restoration of those protections. There have been political incremental successes which demonstrates the idea that solvency is not immediate, but yes, is correlative with long-term success. As per their example of bills getting passed in the House, etc., proves that there is momentum that can be utilized for good. And insofar as they've dropped that consequentially the plan is incredibly good for black workers, then it is try or die affirmative for our model that at least includes evaluation of the plan. We do have reasons why it's good for us to win the debate. That's Mason and our clash evidence above because competition under rights debate, at least in some capacity, but PerfCon proves their scholarly exercise not any more desirable than ours. Now, the racialized revision voter, we did not co-opt them. I'm not sure what the argument is. We answered and explained in the permutation. We reject the argument, not the team for all voting issues because anything else deters substance. There's also an app-specific pragmatism that benefits their interpretation of Mason and Huel evidence and changing structures all at once. Is it possible that civil-servant protections will never happen absent people arguing for them, which answers the fiat K and proves that incrementalism is good and necessary, which is another. In fact, turns to the alternative, which otherwise state progress. The only thing they said was voting F doesn't do the plan, which we obviously know, but they've got the substance of the argument by advocating for the plan, even in the face of that is good. Now, the counter-interpretation links to all of our offense insofar as it's arbitrary and unpredictable, which means it can't solve anything. Their interpretation does not solve February only is arbitrary. There are countless ideas that could justify other interpretations, but it does not mean that they're any more predictable, which is our key internal link to clash, because a back and forth stasis only occurs when you can prepare before the debate actually begins. Impact turning the idea of a policy case if yet are not predictable because should implies consequences of the plan and they exclude those. We did not agree that the app is not pragmatic and we are not mutually exclusive with helping black people, which is the Mason explanation I did above. The 1EC cross examples app. We named an example off the top of my head of one policy that was passed because of debate or advocacy, which means that presuming against arguing those things is good. No intrinsic reason why debating the affirmative is good is wrong. We have arguments for arguing for those things is key, and clash internalizes that and ensures that we're able to export our politics. We said perm to the app and honor the people that the 1 and C listed, which means the 2 and C argument that we did not honor the other people in the 1 and C is just patently false. That was the first argument of the permutation in the 2EC. Do not scratch the argument about the flow. The app does honor the black labor movement. The 2EC card is fantastic. It's not tokenization. Our Mason evidence is that black federal workers are not cooperative right now because they're currently doing the same thing we are and arguing for the restoration of the true civil service. They dropped that they link to it equally because their card says that lawyer organizing within the state is a valuable way to support black labor, and the 1EC specifically advocated for that. We are not devaluing black argumentation. Go back and read the 2EC framework interpretation. It is inclusive for a reason. There's no link to the DSRB-K of fiat, nor the example that they have listed about other debates like Georgetown, which are actually AF arguments because we have not intended to exclude their arguments in any capacity. The judge instruction arguments are subsetted by our framework interpretation. The role of the judge is to assess better debating. Any deference is bad, and arbitrary rejoinder is answered by us answering the 1EC rejoinder argument. Voting negative cannot signal anything. It will be internalized as technical judgment. This was 2 and 2 cross-ex. Too many rounds happen at the same time, which overwhelms the scope and solvency of this individual ballot. To their fiat case here, the Traver evidence is AF. They've just said read the rest of the card, but we are smoking them on this. Traver says that fiat is bad for K-AFs, yes, but then concludes that fiat is normatively valuable to conceptualize and organize within the political progress. The 2EC recut of their evidence is much better than their card because their card just says that fiat is bad from a purely critical lens. Sure, we can agree with that premise, but does not dispute our argument, and also concede that trade-off ideas and other arguments do acknowledge the political process, but debate is important because it teaches you what to argue for, not necessarily how to argue for it. Other forums don't solve because our clash impacts is trained in debate. Non-state organizing doesn't solve the case. Triple crackdown to legal resistance is key. Celebration that benefit is access to the perm. Nothing is solved by the procedural alone without the ballot, and the ballot defense answers it. They said Black History Month is defense and fairness because only 20 days will impact on that. Alexander Tony, the black community does deserve how the entire chicken and treasure about the year and organization schools. Working the safety figures in the past 6 years, we always covered white relationship meaning. We are not policing, not enforcing norms that above judges are biased and making them the arbiter of Black History Month is really bad. No impact to fairness is relevant because we're going for clash picks or a picks argument. I don't know what this is. We said the picks are bad because they moved the plan. The ballot pick is the opposite of that. Just proves that them relying on critics is bad. Smiley is about federal labor rights and says they're good. The passivity dissent is wrong. Non-resolution procedurals are not negative win conditions. They create infinite prior questions. No hands up black people dissent. It's not a new link because it's not fungibility. Tokenization impact turns their procedural attachment, which was done above.
Nine.
Yeah, just let me know if anything.
it just did the thing. It just did the thing.
The thing where
It
it
did the
freezes?
thing.
Oh, where it like deletes the doc?
Nothing's there.
Bro, what the fuck?
I swear to God, there's
Did it
no
like-
verbatim document.
Did your entire word crash? Is the word app like open in your bottom
No.
Word? What the fuck?
I have 540.
Yeah, no, bro, what the fuck?
Dude, my laptop is selling me, bro. What's going on? Hold on, man. Okay, last time it saved.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
the
usually
issue-
when you reopen it, it'll be like last saved by user or whatever, right? Or it'll try to recover or something.
The issue, however, though, is that the last time this happened,
Yeah.
it like erased like 3 of my analytics. So.
Oh, because it saves like an earlier document or like an earlier version, right?
Oh, I hate you so much.
Is your word like closed completely? Because you should.
It reopened some.
Oh yeah, I can see it like reopening. Is that too hard on? Okay. Gotcha.
So it may have erased everything.
Bro, are you serious?
Oh, really?
Fuck. Just Daniel, you.
I have a flow, but I
Okay.
mean, like,
I'm not sure.
Give me like
Yeah, I
a
don't
few
really
minutes
know
to
the
figure
video.
this
you
out.
want to rewatch the YouTube video?
No, that would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of that.
Okay, like this is like dead ass. Like there's no line by line here. Like there's
Oh,
nothing.
that's
Everybody's
brutal,
bro.
I can re-give the 1 hour if you want. Always.
Oh, that's so annoying. Okay, low key, can we do that? Is anybody?
I'm not
against
gonna
that?
flow the re-give.
Can you just like? Can you just?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'll say. 'Cause
I could just like say what the arguments were if you.
I was like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna re-give the 1 hour, I'm fine with that.
Also,
Yeah.
I flowed the one here. Do you want, we can send that.
We can send our flow of the 1 hour if you want that too, because I flowed it.
You fill the entire one here.
So
Yeah.
I wrote everything on case, so I can just send you what I wrote for case, and then I flowed the stuff on the K, and then I can send you that.
Or the procedural.
Or-
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then can I just have time to type everything down? I will like openly show.
I will start tech time.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just need tech time to write everything
Yes.
down, and then I just need to restart.
Emory, are you?
Right.
I was like, is everyone, all the debaters cool with that?
Yeah. But
Okay.
So, like literally, like
Yeah.
I flow everything on the document, and there's like 0 line by line. Like there's
Okay,
no,
well,
everything
yeah,
I
yeah,
typed
yeah.
is gone.
yeah. Here we can just like. Wait, Curtis, if you want, we can just. Okay, I can just show you the stuff on my computer. If
Can you
want.
send it to me?
Yeah, I can send you that too.
And I will like openly like.
Yeah. No, that's chill.
Yes.
We like low-key don't care. It's completely. We went for class no fairness, bro. It's good.
Dude, I'm about to buy a new laptop, bro. So.
I mean, that seems necessary.
You put the stuff in the doc and stuff.
I just sent you all the case stuff.
Oh, do you want me to send the flow?
I don't. I can do the flow. Or are we
Well,
doing?
wait, I can just send. Yeah, Curtis, I can just send you my analytics. Here, that's probably easier.
That may be easier, yeah.
Cool. That's the last argument I got to. Okay.
But I also want to see. Wait, hold on. Is
Oh, dude, Benji's gonna get me. So bad.
Bro, Harris went like 15 minutes over D time last night.
Okay, well, that's Harris.
Ethan
I'm just
Ethan Harris.
Oh, Ethan did? Okay,
Ethan
well,
Harris, man.
that he inherits that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Obviously,
it
for
might be
just following that.
genetic. Sure, I'll give him that, but like,
Yes, that's definitely. Oh man, Harris. It's just a gene, I think.
let me know when y'all send.
yeah, I accept the case stuff, and then I'm sending you the procedural right now.
Okay. What I'm gonna do actually is I'm just gonna copy and paste it.
That seems smart. Yeah,
And
is
then-
that what you can just
Yeah, and then like I'm just gonna like label everything like I'll just intuitively know what his answers to, and then I'll just like restart prep from that.
Bet. Yeah, hold on. Give me a sec.
Do you mean to send the flow, or you have like difficulties?
No, that's chill. I got it. Got it. Okay. We're
Yeah,
good.
we know that.
Yeah, yeah. 1 hour's on the big side, and then just resume prep.
Dude, what the fuck?
That's so bad.
No, it feels like actual sabotage, dude. I was 3 minutes and 11 seconds into prep. Okay, let me download it now. Alright, whatever, let's try it. 9.
Cool.
Not right now.
Yeah. You're good. It's up. Just like give me information from case. Bro, I don't know, man. You just be
What are you
saying,
talking about, man?
you just be saying things, bro. I'm just trying to make sure I
Yeah.
understand you, bro.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
honestly. I'm clicking save every like 15 seconds.
You gotta get a Google Doc, bro.
Oh yeah. And I only use we do that for the app. We don't do that for the thing.
Dude, Sheets is so nice.
Sheets is crazy.
I only use Sheets to like flow like debates. I'm not judging.
We're flowing 35% of the debates with this tech.
That's not a tech.
Do you need anything else?
Not right now. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you send it to me?
I'll send it to you at the top of the.
Yeah, just this one. It should be, no, it should refresh your thing.
Wait, that's not how that works. It should just be there. That is so weird. I was just like, wait. Oh, I'm on the different. Okay. That's my fault. I was on the wrong Google sheet.
Yeah, I also just in class, so.
Okay.
I'll put it at the top.
Procedural. Cool. Can you see me the your laptop?
Yeah.
Is it like 1 hour or is it anything? Is
I-
there an overview that would be like, maybe
It's you probably don't need to know.
that, thank you. Alright, we are good. Okay, go down.
Alright. Easy. Cool. You're going to vote negative to endorse the best speech act that honored Black History Month. We place a burden on the affirmative, and Emory do 5 speeches or 4 speeches that have conceded this question, and 2 will do as well. It's our interpretation on Black History Month. The battle should go to the team that best honors Black History Month through argumentation and speech acts. Make this clear. No cross-out. Links about the plan do not apply. Drop our arguments is not about material implementation, but rather it's about the way Emory has engaged the Black History Month in this space to prove nothing about voting after the good idea of celebration of Black History Month, because we're impacting the idea that fiating is the ability to celebrate Black history, because nothing about voting affirmative enacts the thing that will be beneficial to those Black people. Drop the permutation disingenuous attempt to cash in on Black History Month in terms of classes. It enables the app to make random arguments about something that not apply to our procedure, since it's procedure versus substance. The we meet, drop they do not meet, they have not mentioned any Black scholarship movements, have not censored any Black scholarship, and only funded by their live in the 2C to be this. The 1AR will lie, will lose from lying. Command F Black in the 1AC, 0 time. They lose. They prove that they do not meet because they're based off the 1AC and the 2C not get declared for when they drop. They say reject the argument, not the team. This should be filtered through ballot proximity. A, drop proximity, nothing about voting African active plan because fiat is illusory, but voting negative can send a signal that the 1AC is not invested in like Black History Month. We're proving that the ballot can solve an epidemic directory in Black healing in this space. Drop, but it's not invent the plan. Scholarship is only tangible. Shit, your ballot can resolve. Also, norming, ballot shaped norm proved by Georgetown losing to us after reading race scholarship. People reading debate docs after RD, so the dot pressure and agenda, etc. All prove that debaters not just read on tab room or look at shit, rather to force them to change their practices, while fiat does not. Now, the permutation, flag is on your flow. The only are dropped, perm do both our procedures is a voting issue. Perm do not advocacies, would be their model debate, and that's after perm, A-spec, topicality, conduct, and disclosure shelves, would really ruin debates over procedural. Drop. The one that 2 year I'm not getting you answers because the 1 yard clearly dropped it. And if I win that theory is a reach reject team, you auto vote down Emory now. Also no perm, because it's not auto Black History Month in the 1C, which is done above and proves they make class impossible, which is all considered firm interpretation. Drop non-resolution theory is good for a couple reasons. A, drop and check back and finds in debate in i.e. racist violence, and their interpretation mirrors pure logic that enables teams to hide behind the racist shit they do by saying extinction outweighs preach violence. Now, PICS voter. I'm going to extend it here. The 2C said PICS are a voting issue, then read a PIC when 2C said you can agree Black History Month this guy did, but still vote AF, which violates our own interim. I know we go for the critique every round, but this is just debate 101, and the 2C double turn itself and do not give you answers. Emory is the culprit you can punish them for. PICS are a voting issue. They ruin class and forces the negatives to debate itself and seals labor Black people in this round for competitive incentives, which is a grind evidence. And they read theory against Black leaders in this debate, but all said it was bad, and they did not give you answers. They read to reject them because balance continued norming, which is a procedure about how models should play out and outweighs class, since PICS make negating impossible, and Emory has no reason why PICS moving the case is different from moving the procedure or proves you can check out now. I'm not only here a red out RD for Emory because they dropped this argument and did not give you answers. Now, class, we actually fell for it. We did not drop class. Holy shit, you're gullible. We have a bunch of reasons why your class is bad, like sports more skill, no take back. So distortion is out. I'm going to hang my hat on the treatment evidence. Yeah, it's bad because it produces more skill by assuming we can imagine our way out of violence without teaching us the steps to get there. Drop that distort radical advocacy and train up grassroots movement debaters can actually be a part of, because you cannot process, counterplan, or permanently built in real life. It means they create politicians, activists, or future leaders who are either anti-Black or get outmaneuvered into corporate white supremacists. The 2AC said that their model debate was better for exploitability, but the 1 did not make that argument, and the reason for it, this has a counterplans and feeling policy that teaches how to get their proofs. The 2 will be new. They dropped that someone to stop anti-Blackness. They cannot first try to be a policymaker. That outweighs in terms of class for the proofs. The model debate raises the activity as a place of skill building, which only our model can solve. They say trigger is app. I will stake the fucking round on this argument. Trigger is not app. Trigger says that feeling policy is bad. Go back and read the card. You see, if you think feeling policy is bad with what Trigger says, you all vote negative. Since they never conceded. They say separating reps are good. Obviously not true, because we are winning reasons why you should be held to your scholarship, and separating reps is pure logic that allows people to do and say racist shit without winning, without actually defending their scholarship. We also allow a performative contradiction, which I'll do in a second when Daniel puts up. Okay, they say the one saying non-Black workers command F, Black in the way is not there. Okay, the perfcon 7 reps stuff. Perfcon, there's no perfcon or just by 7 for means renovation. Cross-check check. Our separate reading of it was not bad. We've simply not said Iran or Iraq, you're good. We just said fervor wars are not long-lasting. Nothing about the way we highlighted our evidence. Since those wars are good to rationalize imperialism, which means that there's no perfcon. Since it means that the wars will eventually end, but also secondly, the Federalists being bad has no warrant in the 1 year they drop. We don't honor that organization or advocate it or align with their policies. They are worse since they dropped. They empower Congress, which has people in it who support ICE, pedophilia, genocide, who are all in the fucking Epstein file to prove they're worse when it comes to individuals. Okay, the impact level. I'm going to do the impact level high now. Here, I'm going to go for the eraser impact. The joke that illuminating Black history is good because nothing about voting absent the fiat, but we can use doing the honor Black history month, i.e. every debater who listens, all the people who are Black but still choose to do labor absent the job, prove that our debates are key, but policy solutions are not key, because they're solved by all four, because you can just clash with your uncle non-debate, because you can actually engage with policy arguments with your lawyer, because he's a lawyer, your uncle, he's a lawyer, but the same way around, which proves definitely back to this argument. Okay, they say the Alexander card. Alexander says, quote, I do not think we should have a Black history month at all. This is a reason to reject the team. It's obviously anti-Black, and the same reason that MAGA and Trump used to deny Black people humanity under our model, which impacts their Alexander card means you should vote affirmative to honor Black history month. They say, but also Alexander says that Black history month is not enough for proof. It's just a question of solvency, but we have not said it should only be the 20 days, it should be forever, but simply this month is good. They say it's bad, expect that we don't, we create create procedures that are core to the topic and not frivolous since you read the ballot pick and you said pick bad. Okay, they say that the ethics, presentation, pragmatism is good. Obviously, links to all of our offense to Mason and Hero Card do not apply because nothing about saying that we should imagine policy gets it done or prove they produce more skills. They say the interpretation doesn't solve because it's arbitrary, obviously not true. Because they dropped that black labor is core to the topic and proves you knew about the procedure beforehand, but we could have got card proof definitely. The exhibit they said they named example on top of their head, which means that arguing about it is not good. Our argument is that you listen people off the top of your head because you did not name people, but the second you lose, you'll go back and think of more people with proofs. We just saw in terms of the athletes, the argument above, they say the one see on Black History Month movement, they dropped the not get twisty clarification, and dropped the one see not say that proves it's not just for the token that you just had is wrong. Never say you should engage people to win. Rather, our argument is that you should utilize competitive sense to create more ethical scholarship. If they cannot solve, any other argument should be judged off your flow because we're willing that picks come first. They dropped it, and non-resolution theory is good because we get the fiat their use of we get the critique use of fiat, and theory is good because check again violence in debate.
Okay, we have 410. We're going that.
Yeah, first two at the top, the first thing that's there, right? Well, just like, yeah, right. Sure, yeah, okay.
Or, sorry. You see good? CSU good? CSU has dropped the case. They conceded that federal unions vary extra risky paperwork and are good to protect black workers from private sector exploitation. This matters because our justification for fiat was specific to federal workers in this 1AC, which means that winning the case proves that our political project was worth defending. Procedural. Framework, winning the case against the procedural. Clash outweighs because it is dropped by the block and this flag is turning all of their offense. The winner sacrificed speech time to do judge instruction about the implication of this, and the tutor did not justify their cross applications, which they have said should not be allowed because they cause late breaking debates. Clash is a counterpoint that results all of their offense with the external net benefit of exportability. Their model of debate bypasses the 1AC, increasing perverse incentive for teams to defend nothing to avoid blanks. That precludes iteration because debaters never learn how to persuade people who disagree with them, which is the only possible way to rectify anti-blackness, and promotes pragmatism, which is a global frame that filters the rest of this debate. Winning framework is super easy because the vast majority of the tutor's offense does not assume our middle ground interpretation that solves both sides' offense. Our interpretation is inclusive of theirs and allows them their entire K, which means none of their offense about the Traber evidence and fiat does not apply. The reason why Traber says that fiat is bad is because it trades off with non-legal community building and skills, but our framework interpretation is inclusive of that since it provides a role for critiques and means that they can build those skills in conjunction with responding to the 1AC's use of fiat, which means it is inclusive of all of their skills building offense, but solves a 100% risk of a clash impact, which means you have to vote app on offense defense alone. But we also win if you adopt their interpretation, our defense of fiat and the 2AC to vary evidence or justifications for voting out, even if you conclude neg on framework. The 200 says that we do not meet because the 1AC failed Control F for black people. This is a terrible standard and obviously not how you should value it, because we have offense about why skills and clash can implicate all of their offense and provides the necessary community building skills that they have said then resolves anti-blackness, which means that all of our offense is sufficient to resolve it. Now, the first argument in the 200 is that you should vote next to endorse a speech act that honors Black History Month. The problem with this framing is twofold. The first is that all of our defense proves that nothing about framework nor our performance are mutually exclusive with doing that at all. The second argument is that they've dropped the one-error concession of their argument that judges are biased. Remember, they have said that there's no fairness paradox or fairness impact because of the fact that judges are biased against them and will not evaluate their arguments fairly. The one-error said that this implicates the procedural since it forces the judges to render decisions about the legitimacy of Black history in debates, which is worse for all of their offense if they are right that judges are anti-Black and unwilling to evaluate these arguments fairly. It turns their education and erasure of evidence since tokenizing is a worse form of silencing. There's no 200 arguments about this at all, which means that it's game over and we straight turn all of their offense independently of any fiat good offense. Importantly, both of these justifications are offense for our framework interpretation. They are both reasons why deviating from a predictable stasis and centering the debate around deference is bad, which are external win conditions for us, even if they win some risk of their offense since it internally turns all of their stuff, even if they win defense to clash. This is not a cross application. We have said framework on this page too. Remember, the first argument I said in the 2AC was the quote, the burden of rejoinder is good, and then we name dropped clash, research, and education as justifications for this, which means we did make a framework argument about this in the 2AC, and this is simply not a cross application. But yes, and yes, our standard about links of the plan applies because that just explains what our interpretation entails and is judgment instruction for how you evaluate it, but it is not a new cross application in the 2AC since it was responsive to the block cross applying a whole ton of stuff and explaining their stuff in a new light. The permutation is not disingenuous, it is substantive engagement, and it's not literally, and them saying that we cannot permute a procedure does not make sense because it is rather an intrinsicness test that explains that the 1AC and the reading of the plan was compatible with the modes of thought and types of knowledge production that they think are good, which is simply an intrinsic test and not a literal, it's a test of competition and test of the links, which is totally zero. Now, the debate about the fungibilizations did start in 1AC cross-ex. We specifically explained the value and importance of clash and the ability for our model to create exportable skills, which is sufficient to solve. Now, yes, proximity. We have defense devoting neg as sending a signal. The one I said about there's so many rounds that happen in every tournament. They'll win and lose multiple times over the course of the season. There's a bunch of YouTube videos uploaded, and the tab room only shows who won or lost, which means that there's no reason why anyone would perceive the outcome of this debate specifically, which is all of that is defense to norming because norms do not perform around individual debates since there's simply too many debates going on at the same time. All of their words do not apply. They do not even include debate docs on the chain, so there's no reason why other people would perceive that this round. Again, the permutation is an intrinsic test, but their voting issue is bracketed by the framework interpretation. The winner answered this by name and said that all of our arguments about why it's an intrinsic test prove that it is a test of the links and not a reason to reject the team since it answers for their word for why it is bad. Worst case, we have said it is a reason to reject the argument, not the team that is sufficient deterrent because of the fact we will not read it again if we're making our time and wasting our breath by making this argument. They said vote neg for wake work, so we can clearly permute that interpretation. They dropped their 1AC card supports lawyers, so the permutation isn't even a reclarification because their evidence says that lawyers have worked in order to create material gains for black people. Litigating racist violence against the theory or arguments is the worst thing in the world, and non-racists also drafted by framework since they drafted should implies the consequences of the plan. Picks our voter is not what we said. We have said that floating picks are bad because they restart debate later and then they steal the 1AC. We have simply said, or we did not literally make a pick, but rather said you can combine it. It does not steal any of their offense. They can still leverage all of their offense against the plan and the links, which proves that we did not lose to our own voting issue. Worst case, rejecting the argument not the team is sufficient to solve. It does not steal any of their labor, but rather says that the theorization is compatible with the 1AC, which is just an argument about solvency and proves that we are not a pick. They did drop Clash. There's no answer to the block. The 200 just said that our fiat implicates it, but that's wrong. There's no distortion to it. We have an offensive reason why it's backwards. You should frame through specificity. They have no game on our app-specific defensive political imagination. Our Mason evidence explains that good ideas don't stand a chance unless in the real world, unless we argue for them. It's impossible to get closer to the world that we want to live in unless we visualize it through scenario planning. The Traber evidence is flat backwards. Our recutting proves that, or the Traber evidence think it is about to force chaos to use fiat, but says that specifically in a policy context is capable of producing a valuable debate. So we do not bypass all of the steps of fiat since all of their solvency arguments proves that we do debate about the mechanics of the plan, and all of their judge instruction is completely new. Thanks for saying we're winning the Go plan. Now, their deployment of the Black History Month is bad. We have 2 warrants for this. The first is the Winter Alexander card. They've co-opted Black History Month within the terms of debate by extending it as defense to fairness, i.e. saying that their model solves our offense since the month is short. This deference is bad. Alexander says it trades off with celebrating Black History, which returns their argument as everyday practice and proves that litigating this procedural is bad because it literally deters genuine interaction with our scholarship. Alexander says we should celebrate Black History Month every day, which takes out their voter because it's not saying that it shouldn't exist at all, but rather that it should be celebrated every day instead of just in 1 month.
Debate.
DC, do you need cards?
I should be good.
Okay, yeah, just let us know if you need anything.
Sorry? It's just like nice extra defense, but then they're also like saying, or because they have like the voting issue thing, like if we're gonna answer that, it's like not as well.
I was not the last one in too.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Let me know when everyone is good.
We're good.
This was a really, really good debate. There were some weird things that kind of got lost and like was hard to resolve. I ended up concluding affirmative. I think that Emory is winning over that fiat under justification of the case is a reason a model of debate that is based upon rejoinder of the plain is necessary. I think that they're winning their description of the Traber evidence indicates that holding K teams to the standard of fiat is bad, but not necessarily that fiat is bad as a concept. I think that Emory is winning a risk that their clash is necessary to create stronger advocates that can advocate better change and engage in community norms that are necessary. I think that it is best held through the modality of a predictable stasis point, and given that the resolution indicates should, that means that fiat is a predictable standard, and that is net better than sort of the Traber evidence that CSU has forwarded that fiat does create these things, but I think that their defense of Traber recutting is a little bit better on this. In addition, I am unsure how voting nay would act as an honor of Black History Month. I think that Emory is winning that debates become lost in the margins on tab room and email chains, that they lack the ability to set norms. I think that the 200 explanation of Georgetown changing their 2AC is interesting, but Emory has significant defense that has just not been interacted enough with that I'm unsure how my ballot would resolve that. In addition, I do not think that CSU is an on-point response to the Alexander evidence that implicates that the frame of Black History Month constrains Black history to the month of February, and that frame would be worse for Black history. The 200 indicates that this is a voting issue, and I think that this requires a celebration of Black history every day, what the Alexander evidence says, rather than just in February, and I think that Emory has justified the reading of Black history through the modality of the case page via this sort of critical lawyering good. Therefore, the permutation resolves it or acts as it operates as a means to show that Emory has justified the relationship to Black history. The place I spent the most of my decision was on the PICS jurisdiction thing, because this was like really weird and technical for me. I think that this issue is relevant to judge instruction made by both the 2NR and 2AR. I think that the 1AR answers I have to the PICS jurisdiction argument is no link, didn't read a PIC, valid PIC isn't like the same, and 2NR said they have and it steals Black labor. I ended up concluding it would operate better to reject the argument, not the team, largely because I think that the 2NR has said that they're going to stake the debate on multiple issues, and I'm confused on where I like kind of apply those. And I think that this requires a lot more work. So I think the 2NR needs to implicate the link larger and make the Black labor DA far larger. And I also think that like the 2NR impact calculus makes this really hard. So I just think that rejecting would be sufficient to resolve the harm that has happened. And I think that Emory has justified it and said that there wasn't a link and has followed that. For Emory, you should have gone for PerfCon. Like this deletes everything. Like the person that wrote this article is like actually a turbo fascist. Like I like looked at his Twitter and it's not good. CSU, I would have just gone all in on this PICS thing, and that would have been like 6 minutes of the 2NR in my opinion. Just because I think there's more juice on this, and I think you just need to frame things a little bit differently. Because the judge instruction is where I'm largely confused, because like multiple times the 2NR is like, I'm staking this debate on the reading of Travering, I'm staking this debate on like if PICS are bad or not, and I'm like just confused on what the ballot would mean or like what the ballot should resolve. Are there questions?
Yeah. So first, we have said that non-resolutional theory should be evaluated because anything else allows for people to engage in racist violence and hide behind extinction outweighs. What is the answer that affirmative makes this argument that you think is compelling enough to wash it away?
I think it justifies the reading of the procedural, but I think they justified the relationship to fiat.
Why are those two things intrinsic to the PIC?
To the PIC?
This I'm talking about the PIC.
Oh, just because
You
it's
said
like
that
non-resolution.
justified, let this do like reject the argument, not the team. We made arguments that says rejecting the argument is bad because it allows for people to hide behind resolutional theory to avoid racism. The 2R does not answer this argument. What do you think the answer to this argument?
Oh, that's fair. Maybe I just wasn't clocking the connection, and that could just be a me thing.
Okay, so
I think like separately, there is a no link as well that exists
Okay,
in
so
both the 1AR and 2AR.
What is the no link?
That the ballot pick isn't necessarily a floating pick.
Okay, so they've never said the word floating pick. The 2AC did not say floating picks are voter. They said picks
2AC
are
did.
voter.
It said if it's a voting pick, it's a voter.
I have picks are voter. And in process would clarify picks are a voter. Which
I have the 2AC saying if it's a floating pick, it's a voter.
Okay, but you don't think the process moment where they said picks are, because the way I interpret it, right, it's like process of the 2AC was like voters, and they said picks, not floating picks. I'm also confused, like, what the distinction between a floating pick and a pick is that gets them out of this no link argument. Like, what about it being a floating pick as opposed to a pick means no link?
I think that explanation doesn't exist in the 2NR, and I think that's like the comment I gave earlier is that explanation should be larger between the no link and distinction.
But like, that makes sense. My question is like, in order for you to determine that the floating pick is not a pick, you have to have a warrant for why it's not a pick. So
and they've said the ballot pick is not a pick. They've said it's a way that says that I can vote negative.
Okay, so why is that a reason for why floating picks why is the reason why floating picks still don't link to like the fungibility net benefit that we went for, or why it ruins Clash? Because like
I don't think you made that argument. I could be tripping. I just like don't. I think you said that floating picks are back because they steal black labor. Like picks are back because they steal black labor.
Okay.
And that's the reason to reject the team.
So, okay, if you don't have this down, just let me know. But the thing I said was, picks are a voting issue. The 2AC said that you can agree Black History Month is a good idea instead of an AF that violates their own inter. Picks are a voter. They ruin Clash, force negative to debate itself, and steal the labor of black people in this round for competitive incentives. And then read theory against black debaters in this debate that also said was bad. Is reading to reject the team to ballot to key to norming, which is a procedural.
Okay.
So my question
I'll just read you what I have.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Picks are a voting issue that still picks are a voting issue.
Yeah.
That AF violates. This is just debate 101. Emory's the Copeland team.
Yeah.
It ruins those, steals labor of black people. The product read theory against black debaters, no reason.
Okay.
And then I have Emory saying that they do not link to this in the 1AR and also in the 2AR.
Is that they are a floating pick.
Yeah, they have said that they did not read. They said that the ballot pick is not a pick as the way that you have described it.
Okay, so why do floating picks not steal black labor?
Well, comment above, they
Okay.
have said that there's a distinction between those.
What is
They have a
the
distinction between your interpretation and what they have
Can I
done.
ask what the distinction is?
They have just said the ballot pick is not like a pick.
So
the
there's-
pick in the way you described
Okay,
it.
so my thing is like, there's not a warrant for this argument is my question. Because it's like, they've said it's
What
not.
if you contested on the argument?
What we have said, we've made reasons, like, I think the distinction is just like, the reason why it's frustrating is because it seems like you didn't vote on it because we didn't say the words floating pick. And I feel like for you to assume there's defense to this argument, you have to draw a distinction between, like, why the pick and the floating pick, like, eviscerate this offense. I feel.
Yeah, and I think that they have made a no link that they have just not read a pick. They've described the ballot pick as like not something the same.
Okay.
Also, like
Okay.
here, this is like why I said that I think this debate is confusing because the
Okay.
judge instruction is complicating large portions of it.
Okay.
Because you've said that you staked the debate on like the reading of trade work,
Okay.
and you've also said you're staking the debate on this question as well.
Okay.
So I think that you need to pick one,
Okay.
and that could just be me.
Okay, second question. 2AR drops permutations on procedurals are a voting issue. Is your conclusion that non-resolutional theory is bad, or what
My conclusion on this was that they have justified their relationship to fiat and community, and that fiat is necessary for community building.
But wait, so we said it's a procedural voting issue because the AF can perm A-spec topicality, which proves a ruined based on procedural. Why does fiat good answer this?
They say that the perm is a good form of reclarification. The alt that they have, you've like sort of read it all, and that allows for permutation and allows for them to engage as well.
Okay, so everything is like we read it all.
Yeah,
so-
they've also said it's an intrinsicness test.
Okay.
And another reject the argument off the team.
Okay, intrinsicness test. Where is this in the 1AR?
Okay, that's fair, but once again, they reject the
Okay,
argument
sure.
off the team.
It's
Yeah.
not in the 1AR. That's fine.
Yeah.
I have more questions. I'm just trying to figure this out.
No, you're good.
I'm just trying to read what I wrote down for you. So. Critical lawyering net benefit, is that what you voted on as like they've honored Black History Month?
Yeah, I thought that operated as a cut to the argument you made about how they have not engaged in
Okay,
community.
what is why do you think critical lawyering is a one-on-one correlation with Black History Month?
Because your argument about black labor has said that critical lawyering is good. They have said that the AF is an instantiation of that.
And the AF is critical lawyering because they imagine policy, I assume is.
Yeah, and they've said that the process by which their model debate does teaches advocacy skills, which would then translate to critical learning, like a logical extension.
We said that it doesn't teach those skills. Why do you think their model debate teaches those skills?
They have justified fiat by the reading of both Mason and Traber, and the recutting of Traber.
Okay. I guess like I'm confused because this cutting and retraver is like I'm trying to figure out what warrant in this piece of evidence says that fiat is good for skills, which seems to be, or critical lawyering, I guess.
Well, let me pull the CSU.
That's like the debate me and Danny were having outside. It's like I don't know. It's like I can understand why this like how it says that like fiat can be good.
It says we conceptualize progress of political change Debaters who ask for fiat imagine through a policy going to federal legislator.
What is
They have made spin to this that says that fiat, in the way that they have used it, is what causes clash to a predictable stasis point.
So it's, I can understand predictable stasis, but is that
Yeah.
like what the?
That's like the spin that they have used in their recutting of Traber.
Okay, I have a
Thank you for judging me.
Just one, is there, you said like or is there anything you wish I did in the 2 hour to clean up this picks thing that would help a little bit?
I thought it was fine. I think sitting a little bit more on the no link and answering, just being like, maybe having an offensive reason why things are good. But that has to start earlier.
Okay.
Oh, jettisoning fairness, good call, yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, makes sense. And then 1 yard coverage, I feel like I low-key like got too bogged down at the top of procedural.
I thought the 1 hour would also should have just been 6 minutes of you read this like super racist
Oh, you
guy.
should've-
Like
you
I read his like
Yeah.
Twitter and he's like wild, like
Yeah.
it's not
Oh, you
something
think I should have
that-
just done perfect earlier?
Yeah, I thought that should have been like that's I mean dude like he like is a bad person.
Yeah. Alright, thank you. Appreciate it. Good debate, CSU. Good luck with the tournament.
Yeah.
His first debate is about like great replacement theory.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Thanks, CC.
Of course,